Welcome back to Welbeck Cricket Club for the start of Lancashire's reply, a target of 186 for Lancashire to win the game, with Nottinghamshire, Notts Outlaws 185 all out. It will be George Bell and Keaton Jennings to open up the batting for Lancashire, to see whether or not they can chase these runs down, and with it they will put themselves a place in the knockout stages. Notts need a good performance here with the ball to get themselves right back into the game. Bell's on strike and he's turned around for the first delivery from Brett Hutton, and it's defended away into the offside. There is no run. Scott Reed and Dave Bracegirdle with you in our, was it a Bijou Marquee?
Bijou Marquee, yes.
Marquee.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. Fresh from the pizza, which was lovely.
It was, wasn't it?
Very nice, very nice.
Thanks to Martin and everybody for their excellent rustic pizzas.
2 slips in place. Here's Hutton, and he balls to Bell. It's played a little officially. It's gone down towards the third man boundary, just slightly opened the face of the bat. George Bell on the drive, steers it down to third. Gets through for a single, and Lancashire are up and running. One without loss in the first over here. 186 then is the target. It's at least something to work for Notts. At one stage that looked like a long way off. Even 3 figures looked like potentially a long way off.
Yep.
But they've got a little bit of something. Some early wickets here, get in and amongst Lancashire, start to put some pressure and some nerves back into the Lancashire dressing room. You know, as indeed both sides do, that they have to win this game. Chasing a relatively low score. Can see funny things happen. Hutton comes in to Jennings, who just plays inside the line of that delivery, and through to the keeper, and there's no run.
Patterson 11 wickets is the leading wicket taker for Notts in this year's competition, but is being pressed for that title because Brett Hutton and Tom Loughton have each taken 10 wickets apiece, so they've been the 3 most consistent. Lyndon James has taken 8, but he's only bowled in 3 matches.
Hutton turns and sets off again, couple of slips waiting. Left-handed Jennings on strike, in and bowls. And Jennings just defends, steers the ball away into the offside, and there's no run.
I'm going to take up herding cats for a living, because I think that might be marginally easier than trying to get the Notts 11 together for a team photo.
Right.
I had 8, I had 9, I had 10,
right.
And I had 9 again, so I gave up on the job. They were supposed to be having their team photo taken. Generally do it here at round about one of the last games, either Welbeck or Grantham it was last year.
What they like, these young lads. Hutton's in and bowls, left by Jennings, and again there's no run. So you did your best. You got about 9, did you, at one stage together?
It's as good as it got.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a good effort.
Herding cats.
So you're stomping back. I thought, I don't think it's gone down very well, that team photo. It's not gone according to plan.
Stomping?
Well, not stomping, no. You were walking by, and yet your body language was, it's not gone as well as I hoped it was going to do. On to Jennings, it's left. It shakes back in a little bit. Taken by the keeper. End of the over. First one of the Lancashire innings. 1 run coming off it, so 1 without loss in a pursuit of a target of 186 to win.
They're behind the rate. Behind the rate. Going to be Dane Patterson to bowl the second over. Of course, he's got a new ball as well. New ball at each end. Face smeared in sun cream. Terrific performer with the ball, Dane Patterson. Not so going to need him at his best. It's not going to rain. I say that with a great deal of conviction and hope and optimism. But just wonder, just for a guideline, because we've unfortunately not got one of those screens here. I just wonder if analyst Holly, who shares our same Bijou Marquee, can sort of tell us 10 overs what would sort of be the DLS par score as Patterson bowls and Lavelle punches it to backward point. Should we say 1 down at 10 overs, Holly, or 2 down at 10 overs? Just so we got some sort of guideline as to where Lancashire are. Not that it matters that much today. They get 186 and they qualify.
1 down at 10, 30.
30. 30. 30 for 1 at 10 is the DLS, and two down. I say that because 44 for 2 at 10. Just as a guideline, but we'll be all right weather-wise as Patterson bowls again to Bell, jags back, strikes him round about the waistband, if they have such a thing, boxer's waistband, that sort of area anyway, and then jagged out onto the offside. He's wicket-keeper height, is that kindest to say? What would he be? 5'5", 5'6", something of that ilk, but very, very fine player. Very impressed with him in the county championship game at Trent earlier in the season. There's Patterson to bowl to him. Struck on the pad here, asking umpire Widdop, and let's count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with hands on their head as umpire Widdop says not out. Included the bowler and the keeper. Wasn't, must admit, overly optimistic myself. Seemed to say not out straight away. Seabermead's got in there, the skipper, and getting in his ear. What's going on? What's going on, boss? You gave a couple of them earlier on. I'm sure he's not saying that at all. He's probably asking what the DLS score is after 10 overs. We know that. Here's Patterson. Lengthening his stride, the South African bowls to George Bell, and he defends into the offside. Did suggest earlier on in the season when we were together that BBC Radio Lancashire should get together a little jingle for every time he touches the ball. Ding ding from George Bell. I bet that didn't happen.
It hasn't happened, that, no. Don't encourage Lancs.
Or the Lancashire
TV.
Lancs TV.
Don't encourage them.
Ding ding.
They're open to all these ridiculous suggestions.
Patterson once more. 4 dots so far. Bowls to Bell, edge. No, he's not edged it. Do you know what? Schardendorf reacted almost after the ball had gone past the bat, or as it was going past the bat, dived full length and caught it. There must have been prodigious movement there from Dane Patterson. Cleanly taken by Dane Schardendorf, but there hadn't been a nick. What did Kent end up with? Says lazy brace girdle, because it's just as easy for me to look as it is for Scott Reed to look. I will save my mate having to go through that strenuous tasks. Patterson bowls, and he's going to begin with a maiden. So good stuff from Dane Patterson. Lancashire set to score 186 or 1 without loss after 2 overs. Notts bowled out with 7 balls unused for 185. Kent indeed finished 325 for 8, an innings anchored by 150 from Daniel Bell-Drummond, 54 from Harry Finch, 46 from Alex Blake. So Hampshire need 326 to win. Interesting to know what they need to leapfrog Leicestershire, as Brett Hutton begins over 3.
Yeah, into Keaton Jennings. He's just off the front foot and rather tentatively pushing at that, just defending, no run.
Couple of centuries for Northants today. They've racked up 340 for 5 at Sophia Gardens, obviously against Glamorgan. Ricardo Vasconcelos. You can't say Ricardo Vasconcelos enough. He made 106, and Rob Keogh an even 100. 340 for 5. Northants against Glamorgan. Who else did I see in the run? Somerset 333 for 5. That's against Derbyshire.
Hutton to Jennings, just drags the bat inside the line. That's good bounce and good carry through again to the wicket keeper.
Hearing good things about the young opener Andy Umeed. 172 not out today, and already Derbyshire are 1 for 1. Lewis Rees has been dismissed. The bowling of Josh Davey caught behind by Kangaroo. What else haven't we told you for a while? Yorkshire 253 all out against Middlesex.
There's Hutton. Again to Jennings. He just nudges his next delivery off his hip down to fine leg for a single. Gets his first run. And Lancashire move on to 2 without loss. That's
at Radlett, and Shan Masood made 96 in that Yorkshire 253 all out. given you quite a number of the other scores, haven't we? Essex 259 for 9 in their innings. Surrey had just started 18 for 1.
Two slips from place as the right-hander Bell's back on strike. Hutton strides in, balls to Bell. It's worked to mid-wicket, and there is no run. Fielded by Sammy King.
There will become a time, and I don't know how long it'll be, when we say, are Lancashire finding it as tough as Notts did, or are they just being cautious? But right now we'll just say, early stages, they're having a look at the bowling, aren't they, right now? But it's not looked particularly easy so far.
No, it's been a good start with the ball. Can Notts produce a couple of wickets in this power play? He leans forward and turns the ball away to the leg side. Again, there's no run. Sammy King is at mid-wicket to field. Another dot ball sent down by Hutton. Just a single so far off the third over of the Lancashire innings. Bell remains on 1. Hutton walking back to his mark. A little bit of cloud cover above us now. The breeze has been pretty strong all day, as you've been hearing the wind rattling around the marquee. Two slips waiting to pounce just in case there's an edge of the bat of Bell. Well, not this time, because he's forward, half step down the pitch, defends into the offside, and there is no runs. That's 3 overs gone, and a very, very quiet start. Watchful by Bell and by Jennings to begin with here. 2 runs on the board.
Yeah, Notts were 4 for none after 3 overs. Lancashire 2 for none after 3 overs. That's got to be the quietest opening 6 overs in the same match for a long time. Patterson to continue. Again, if you weren't with us earlier, you will hear the noise of metal grating against metal. That's because we're in a bijou marquee, and the canopy is on a metallic frame. So every time the wind blows, which is almost continuously, it rocks and sways from side to side, and metal grates against metal. So unless you want to become the 100th today to tell us that there's a grating metallic noise in the background, as Patterson sets off. From this, the Charlie French end bowls to the left-handed Keaton Jennings, who defends. Jennings a formidable record in all forms of the game, but it seems whenever he plays against Notts, he piles on the runs. Terrific player. I'd have persisted with him for longer with England at the time, but you wonder if his chance might have gone, his opportunity might have gone. Although even last winter, I think he was he on standby? I think last winter.
Yeah, he went to the India tour, wasn't it? I think, or Pakistan tour.
Yeah,
he went there. He was part of that squad.
Next ball wide of the pegs, goes through to the keeper. Crawley and Duckett seem to have got the gig at the moment after years of indifference and uncertainty. You think of all those that had a bit of a go, your Adam Lives, your Sam Robsons, your Alex Hales, your Asiba Meads. There'll be plenty more, I'm sure, that I've forgotten, but there's a lot of them that had a go, weren't there? To emulate the great years, if you like, of your Strausses and your Trescothics and your Cooks. It's pushed into the offside. Fielded by Ben Martindale in their number 12 at point. And there's no run. Remains 2 without loss halfway through the 4th over.
Yeah, it remains a very, very tight, careful, watchful start, doesn't it? Patterson and Hutton are bowling nicely. Just could win it in this play, could they? But I mean, if they have a repeat of what Notts did, they could easily go a long way to trying to lose the game here.
Just a reminder, all these matches will continue till the end via the BBC Sport website and app. You can follow them throughout the remainder of the day as Patterson bowls and Jennings cuts it away for 4, and there is the first sign that the shackles are about to be completely freed. Nice punch through the offside very shortly on 5 Sports Extra. They'll be going to the 100, so retune to the BBC Sport website and app if you want to stay with us here at Welbeck, a field in North Nottinghamshire.
Where else would you rather be?
We've got an exquisite view of the pylons.
It's a lovely view of the pylons.
and a waft of pizzas drifting on the air as Jennings pushes this onto the leg side, fielded by Lyndon James. I'm sure we'll see bowling before too long. 6 without loss. 1 ball left in the 4th. Patterson tossing the ball from hand to hand as he makes his way back to his mark, turns and runs in again, and Jennings drives it up to mid-on, and there's no run. Lyndon James doing the fielding, so there's a boundary in that over, but that's all. 6 without loss after 4, and that's 1 ahead of where Notts were. They were 5 after 4. The target is 186 with qualification for the knockout phase assured for Lancashire if they win this game. If they don't win this game, 2 other counties are suddenly interested. Kent, with a victory over Hampshire, would go through, the defending champions of course, and if Kent lose to Hampshire, then Notts, by virtue of winning here, would also be the side that could sneak into 3rd place.
Here's Hutton to Bell, chops the ball away into the offside, bouncing out towards Ben Slater, extra cover, and there's no run. Yeah, it's quite nice. It's set up, isn't it, for the final group game, really?
Yeah.
At least there's a little bit resting on it, and qualification for 3 teams are still to be decided. A couple of places to be altered in the other group as well.
Final at Trent Bridge, 16th of September.
Okay.
Been 2 previous finals there. Glamorgan defeated Durham 2 years ago. Kent defeated Lancashire last year.
Hutton to Bell, beats Bell into the gloves of the keeper. No run. There's not been too many so far that have beaten Bell, but that definitely did.
You were Joey Everson on the day, weren't you? He'd just
yeah.
moved from Notts to Kent, initially on loan, and man of the match performance from young Everson.
Yeah, he was terrific. Across the piece, really, Kent were the out-bowled, out-fielded, out-battered Lancashire. They were a better side across the whole day, really.
And Darren Stevens bowed out of cricket.
He did. Yeah. Maybe it was destined to be the Stevens Trophy. Hutton to Bell. Bell off the back foot, trying to find a way through the offside. He can't. Picked up by Martindale at Battle Point, and there's no run. 6 without loss. Halfway through the 5th. Bell and Jennings, who got Lancashire to a 10-wicket win against Surrey on Thursday last week, both unbeaten in the 70s to get Lancashire to their victory target. A very different feel to the start of the innings here than it was in Guildford. As Bell again tries to send it out towards the leg side, and the ball I think is deflected back up, and it's hit him just at the back of the helmet on the little extra protective bit behind the ear, and that plastic piece has just dropped off, so there'll be a little bit of a check here on George Bell, a bit of a kind of a concussion check.
Yeah, he's okay, or certainly from here seems to be okay. I'm not medically qualified to say that, but he's taking his helmet off, he's chatting to everybody, he's showing the umpire the bit on his helmet that has disintegrated, and the players have been out there for all of 4.5 minutes, and they're all going to have a drinks break whilst George Bell sorts his helmet out. 6 without loss in the 5th over. Nottinghamshire making 185. Nobody reached 40. Liam Patterson-White top scored with 39. 37 from Sammy King and 32 from Dane Schardendorf. On the live stream it's been termed an injury stoppage, but clearly he's absolutely fine. Take no chances though, quite rightly, the physios.
Yeah, I think they've checked the helmet, haven't they, as well, make sure that's okay and doesn't need replacing.
Did a football match, not last week, the week before. It was a real clash of heads. I thought, oh, crikey, it's one of those where you could hear it in the stand. And well, they got up and the ref made them go off with the physio to the sidelines, and they were back on within about 30 seconds of it happening. And I thought, well, that doesn't happen in cricket. It's rather more care of duty from the medical attendants.
Yeah, it's a bit of a lengthy stop, this, isn't it? But
Yeah.
as Dave was saying, he looks like he's fine. He's just going through the final checks. Chance for the Notts boys to get together and have a drink and a chat.
Generally takes a little longer to sort out the helmet rather than to sort out whether the player's fit to go on or not. Of course, if he's not, then they don't have to find a replacement helmet. But if he is, they've just got to get it to the right size and right number of, I don't know, notches on his chin strap. He's okay.
Not be the worst situation, this, actually, because it's allowed Jennings and Bell just to have a little bit of a breather. I know they have to reset, and that can be challenging too for a batter, but just that little bit of intensity, maybe with that little short delay, because Hutton and Patterson have started beautifully with the ball here, and obviously Notts need this start to work where the ball's pretty firm and new. Try and get in and amongst Lancashire's batting lineup, and just a little bit of pressure that they were trying to build perhaps allows Jennings and Bell just to take a moment and have a breather. It's Hutton to Bell. Just turned around, it comes off the edge of the bat down to third man for a single.
I'm very much looking forward to hearing your thoughts when Tom Loughton comes on to bowl, especially as his bowling coach Kevin Shine is sat a yard and a half away from you. We'll get the full description, the game of hopscotch in the school playground.
Ah, excellent.
The jump over the log.
Oh, excellent. We love something a bit quirky, don't we? We quite like that.
He's had a very, very good competition, been very impressive, and Notts are going to need him to do the same today. One ball left in this over.
7 without loss. Jennings waits for Hutton. Hutton's bowling, and Jennings just very calmly and casually eases the ball away to the offside, leaning onto his front foot. And there's no runs. That's 5 overs gone. Not too dissimilar. The two starts in terms of runs scored. Lancashire won't want to happen is a repeat of the wickets that Notts lost in the power play. 7 without loss after 5.
Yeah, Notts was 7 for 1 at the same stage. Knocking on the door of 3 o'clock here on BBC Radio Nottingham. Scott away to update the listeners in the northwest. Lancashire win, they go through. It's as simple as that. Notts win, they'll be looking at events a little more closely on the Isle of Wight as Dane Patterson comes into George Bell. This one's been deflected off the pads of Bell. Schardendorf chases after it, but there's a leg by. 8 without loss. Keaton Jennings back onto strike. He's got 5. Bell just a couple. Dane Patterson runs away from us again. Past umpire Widdup. That's on the pads of Jennings. He's forced it away off the hip. Patterson's gone down and stayed down. It's gone away for 4. The umpire signalling 4, and he's also waving on the Notts physio. Phil Tranter rushing out there. Dane Patterson has gone down here, and you have to just hope he's okay here. He's South African. He's tough as teak, but he's hit the ground quite considerably. He's pointing to a foothold whilst he's down on the ground. So he's letting everybody know what the issue was. Notts physio is out there. Fatty Singh's out there with a drink, and Dane has been rolled off the strip just so he can get a little bit of attention, a little bit of the focus of the physio. Well, it's not exactly rolling around on a length.
And they're giving themselves a real good challenge because they bowled Nottinghamshire out for 185. An excellent performance with the ball by Lancashire. Now over to the batters, Keaton Jennings and James Bell on the batting for Lancashire. Target of 186.
We've got a bit of a stoppage at the moment, Lisa. Dane Patterson, the South African bowler for Nottinghamshire, he's just bowled a ball and then fallen over in his follow-through, getting some treatment out there. The physio out there, a bit of concern. The match situation, Notts bowled out for 185 in a match they simply have to win to have any chance of going through to the knockouts. Nobody reached 40 for Notts, an under par score certainly, but Lancashire have had it equally tough at the start of their innings. We're in the 6th over, 12 without loss. Bit of concern though over Dane Patterson at the moment. Patterson's got back to his feet, pleased to say.
It's a horrible tumble, that, wasn't it?
It was indeed.
And he's obviously scratching around with his footmark, so he just went over a little bit on his ankle, something like that. His front foot didn't land properly. I've not seen a replay of it, have we? So
No.
we've not seen it back. But I mean, the good news is he's all right.
Yeah.
He's back up on his feet and he's going to continue by the looks of it.
He's tough as nails. Would have to have been something more than that, I think, to keep him off the field. But you're right, he went down very hard, and
He did.
I don't think he'd have beat the count of 10, that's for sure. So that's 2 stoppages we've had. The helmet, only a couple of deliveries before. And now an injury to Dane. 12 without loss. Comes in again to bowl to Jennings, who's on 9. Down the leg side, and Jennings just went to paddle that one away, didn't get much contact on it, and Schardendorf able to move sharply to his right to prevent the ball running away.
A bit disappointed there, Dane Velasquez. I think anything kind of meaningful on that.
Jennings.
Sorry, Jennings. Anything kind of meaningful on that, he's probably 4 runs.
It just seemed a little stiff, didn't it,
Yeah, he did a bit,
Jennings?
yeah.
Sort of waggling his shoulders as if to get a little bit of movement or momentum in them. Patterson again. It's the ball to the left-hander. Both, of course, South African born. Scamper through for a single here as Sammy King comes in from square leg to do the fielding. Leg by 13 without loss.
Just saying to Bell there, wasn't he, that we'll just nip him back in a little bit, just to be careful of that.
Dane Patterson and the footmarks at this end, or the bowling crease at this end, are not the best of friends at the moment. Scratching away he is with his studs. He's trying to level it out, flatten it out. Umpire's saying, shall we see if we've got one of those, I think they call it, is it a tamperer thing that they bang down in the ground, just trying to flatten it. I don't know if they have. I often see Richard Marshall, one of the ground staff at Trent Bridge, rushing out with it to do it there when asked for. Patterson bowls to Bell. Turn to Ben Slater on the leg side, no run, 13 without loss.
Yeah, a few running repairs required maybe for the marks at this end of the ground. Let's see the ground staff perhaps at the end of this over come out and take a look.
Well, Lancashire got through their overs fairly quickly. Yes, they bowled knots out as well, with 7 balls to spare, but with Morley literally racing through his overs, and 3 overs as well from Stephen Croft. Very quickly getting through their allotted time with the ball. Good delivery from Patterson. Goes over the shoulder of Bell's bat and through to the keeper, and we're through 6 overs. And it's 13 without loss. He's not happy, Dane, is it?
No, he's not. Umpire's having a look as well. This was a bit of a signal towards wherever the ground stuff are located to see if they had anything they could do to come out and take a look at it, but nothing's happened. A big fast bowler tumbling over on his follow through. Pretty lengthy over that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The 6th of the Lancashire innings. Boundary off it, couple of leg byes as well. 13 without loss. So it's 6 overs, 4 left the power play, first power play. Keaton Jennings on strike. Here comes Patterson into to Jennings. Just plays inside the line and taken by the keeper, Schardendorf. And there is no run. Good start by Hutton here. Only gone for 3 runs from his first 3 overs.
Hampshire 14 without loss in the 3rd against Kent. Require 3-2-6 to win.
Hutton loops around and sets off again. Jennings waits, and that's pushed away through mid-off, and through he goes for a quick single, and the throw comes in by Hasib Hamid, trying to run Keaton Jennings out. Didn't hit, so Jennings gets through for a single. He moves on to 10. The score moves on to 14 without loss.
Good clean pick up from Hamid. Has already, can't remember where or who it was, but has already run somebody out in this competition. matches just merge into each other, but threw the stumps down somewhere to. It was at Chelmsford, the first match in the group.
Hutton to Bell. Bell angles the ball away to backward point, where it's fielded by Martindale, and there's no run.
In fact, I think rather more in this competition than in any competition in recent years, Notts have been throwing the stumps down with great regularity. They've not always necessarily managed to execute the run out, and they've very often been deflected away for overthrows, but the accuracy of the throwing has been as good as it's been for a while.
Bell waits, Hutton strides in again, still 2 slips in there. Bell goes for a big shot, taking the leading edge, he should be caught, and Slater's under it and takes the catch. And Lancashire lose their first wicket, 14 for 1, Bell's gone for 2. Slater running backwards from extra cover takes a good catch. Bell looking to work it to the leg side. The leading edge sees the ball loop out towards it, the edge of the circle at extra cover. And Bell departs. 14 for 1, Lancashire in the 7th. Caught by Ben Slater with the bowling of Brett Hutton.
Just nothing more than a case of getting bogged down and getting a little frustrated. I think there's nothing wrong with being 14 without loss in the 7th over, chasing 186, is there? And it was a shot out of character in what we've seen before. I'm laughing because the tool, the device that's being used to hammer down the rough bits of the crease at this end, it's like a miniature, cheap almost pound shop version of the one they've got at Trent Bridge. I know it's a club ground, but it's not exactly doing the job, is it?
Well, he's putting plenty of effort into it, isn't he? Putting his back into this, doing all he can, try and hammer it down and help out the bowlers from this end. Stephen Croft, the new batter, to join captain Keaton Jennings. First one-day cup appearance of the season, this for Stephen Croft. Wasn't really likely to play, I don't think, and wouldn't be playing had Josh Bohannon not suffered a tight calf strain while he was batting against Middlesex on Sunday.
There was a time in last year's game at Blackpool where I actually had not slightly ahead, and then Croft found it. Was it Danny Lamb? Croft found some very useful support and got over the line.
Here's Hutton to Croft. Croft defending. Taking a step down the pitch and cautiously, carefully eases the ball away into the offside. And there's no run. If you're watching on the live stream, don't be too fooled by the fact he's wearing Blatherwick 4 on his back. It is very much Lancashire's vastly experienced and now kind of player coach in the One Day Cup, Stephen Croft. And he waits for Hutton to turn and sets off again. 14 for 1, final ball of the 7th. Left this time by Croft. And through to Sherendorf, the wicket-keeper. That is the end of the 7th over. 14 for 1 after 7. Target of 186 for Lancashire to win the game.
Yes, and now the wind's started to pick up and sent everything sprawling everywhere. For 1 after 7. Still going to be Patterson to continue. It was Danny Lamb, he made 43 last year at Blackpool. Strikes the pad of Keaton Jennings as Patterson starting a new over. Just about to tell you the other scores, but my laptop is doing some essential updating. 14 for 1.
I can tell you that Hampshire are 22 without loss in the 4th. Target of 326 to beat Kent. And Gloucestershire have started their reply. They're 4 without loss. And they've been set 268 to beat Durham.
Jennings on strike. And the full face of his bat there pushes it back to Dane Patterson. Wind definitely picking up here at home of Welbeck Cricket Club. So we have been reunited with my laptop. Just tell you last year's events, the most recent match, as this wide of the off stump goes through to the keeper. So Blackpool last year in the eliminator round, quarter final, call it what you want, Nottinghamshire made 338 from their innings, 338 for 8, with Ben Slater on his birthday making 104. So Lancashire 339 to win. Well, they got home with 9 balls to spare, 341 for 7. Stephen Croft 115 not out. Not Jack Blatherwick. Liam Hurt was not out, but Daniel Lamb was dismissed for 43 just before the end. Next ball is turned onto the leg side, no run. So that's a good game of cricket, really. 338 and then 341 for 7 with 9 balls to spare.
That was Croft's second century of that one-day cup. I think he got a ton against Northamptonshire. I think that game was at Blackpool as well. There were 2 good games in the one-day cup at Blackpool last year, and it was kind of very hastily rearranged for Blackpool from Old Trafford. I don't know whether it was 100 or a test match or something that was taking place.
That's right.
In Manchester.
Patterson to bowl to Jennings, came walking towards him and then almost let the ball just hit the face of the bat and drop down onto the leg side. Yes, George Lavelle was dismissed with a score 237 for 6, so another 102 still required then at that stage. Not maybe just got their noses ahead, but then Daniel Lamb came in and shared in a century partnership with Stephen Croft. Patterson to Jennings, who's on 10. Now on 14 as he drives this between mid-wicket and mid-on. Lovely shot from Keaton Jennings.
Super timing, wasn't it? I actually don't think he middled it as well as he was kind of hoping for, but it sounded like it came right out the meat of the bat, didn't it, really?
Yep.
But still good enough for 4.
That's 18 after 8. Same stage, Notts had 13 on the board. Effectively Lancashire are a couple of overs ahead.
Well, it's certainly been watchful and careful by Lancashire. Just that one moment really from Bell as he tried to force it a little bit and lost his wicket, but it's a different approach here by the captain, Keaton Jennings. Croft's on strike as Hutton continues and Croft drives. Can't get it past Slater at extra cover, no run.
I think analyst Holly told us 30 for 1 after 10 was the DLS target, so just do with a quiet 2 overs here and then a torrential downpour.
Not much shelter for spectators here, is there?
No,
if it tipples it down. Unless everyone could just congregate in the pavilion, which is quite a sizable building, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Hutton to Croft. Oh goodness, that spits a little bit at Croft and does really well to drop his bat and get out the way of that.
When in 2019, when Hampshire played here, the county championship game, the second night of that, like I say, it'd been raining all day, but the second night of that was a sportsman's evening here with Phil Tufnell, which was a very good game, very good night. Myself and Kevin James went to that. Yeah.
But that was pretty popular, wasn't it?
Yeah. Big function room there inside the building.
Hutton again to Croft. Deal for LBW there as Croft looks to try and nudge the ball away to square leg, which is where the ball has gone. But with no bat, it's come off the pad. Croft remains on 0. The score moves on by 1 to 19 for 1 in the 9th over. Big appeal by Hutton. Trying to find the second breakthrough for the Notts Outlaws. The captain, Keaton Jennings, is back on strike, so he's 14 not out. Hutton 1 for 4, the wicket of George Bell. The first one to fall for Lancashire here at Welbeck Cricket Club. Jennings just settles nicely into his crease, waits for Hutton. He's in and bowling, and Jennings playing forward, but maybe just played the line. through to the keeper, no run. Oh wait, there's still a little bit there, isn't there, for the bowlers?
Yeah.
When the bowlers knew. But Lancashire did so well through the course of their match. And whether Jennings had played that, he's going to look back down the pitch and says to Stephen Croft, well, the ball just pitched in a decent length and just nips away. He's been done well not to find an edge there, almost gallows humour a little bit by Jennings and by Croft. And it brings Jennings forward and he drives, but to mid-off, where Hamid fields and there's no run.
You've played a game again at, how do you say it, Sedbergh or Sedbergh?
Sedbergh.
Sedbergh.
Yeah, Sedbergh School.
So there's no G on the end then for the pronunciation's sake.
Yeah, played the game against Essex, the first one-day cup fixture there. Unfortunately, rained a bit. So last year it was completely washed out. This year we almost got a game in. They were 4 overs short of a result on Duckworth Lewis Stern, which is a bit frustrating for Lancashire because they were well ahead. Here's Hutton into Jennings, who's taking a step or two down the pitch and then doesn't offer a shot. And allows the ball to go through to the keeper, lifts his bat up above waist height, and the ball disappears into the gloves of Sherendorf. It's the end of the 9th over, 19 for 1, a target of 186 for Lancashire to win the game.
Yeah, through the course of that over, Lyndon James was loosening up, but he's not going to be required yet. Dane Patterson's going to bowl the 10th over, so this will be the final over of the power play. Hutton, by the way, 5 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 4. Terrific stuff from Hutton. He was having a really, really good season. More than 50 wickets in the county championship. There's Patterson. Ball to Stephen Croft. That's off the pad and it's deflected down to long leg. There'll only be 1. Liam Patterson-White doing the fielding. Top scored earlier for Notts with 39. Fancy one sizable innings in the Lancashire innings and that will be that. 20 for 1. Another 166 required from this part of 41 overs. So not too challenging a run rate. It's Patterson in again to Keaton Jennings, and again he advances well down the track. Big tall man. If he comes 2 paces down, he's not going to get in any LBW danger.
Yeah, Lancashire have used outgrounds this summer again. Championship match in Southport. So 4 days in Southport, championship match in Blackpool, T20 game in Blackpool, a one-day cup game in Blackpool, and a one-day cup game at Sedbergh School. So they've been out and about again.
Not been to Liverpool for a while, have they?
No, not for a couple of years now.
There's Patterson. Again, Jennings gets well forward. It's almost on the move as the ball's on the way down to him. Not seem to be in any sort of balanced position then to drive the ball. He still seems to be walking as he's playing the shot. That makes any sense. Again, just defensively pushes it out. Ben Slater making a lot of noise in the covers, geeing the rest of them up. Lots of encouragement. Seabermead, the captain, at mid-off, just tinkering with the field slightly as Patterson bowls short, pulled away for 4. Just slightly missed his length there, Dane Patterson, and Jennings quickly onto it. Didn't advance down the track on that occasion, stayed where he was, pulled it away. First boundary for a while, 24 for 1.
Yeah, just a little bit short, wasn't it? Onto it nicely, Keaton Jennings, control shot, pulled behind square.
By the time Notts had 24 on the board, they'd lost 4 wickets. So Lancashire well ahead. 2 more deliveries time, we'll certainly have a game. This will be 10 overs done and dusted. Patterson none for 16 now, in his 5th. Bowls again to Keaton Jennings. Having got his boundary from the previous delivery, just happy to block this one. Scott Reed and Dave Bracegirdle with you at Welbeck Cricket Club.
Yeah, we're in the countryside, aren't we?
Jake Ball's home club, this. Generally, he and his family are around. Of course, he's away with 100. But in years gone by, he's played in these fixtures. Big moment for him to play on his home club where he grew up, and of course for his family. Do a lot of work for the cricket club. Next ball wide of the pegs through to the keeper. End of the power play. So Lancashire 24 for 1, 6 runs better off and 3 wickets better off, or 2 wickets better off at this stage than where Lancashire were. No, Nottinghamshire were 3 wickets better off. But DLS says they're just slightly behind.
Because it's described as a sports complex, isn't it? So there's obviously more than just cricket.
Yeah, there's tennis, there's bowls.
Okay.
I think they've had football and rugby pitches cut. I think at the moment those pitches are actually being used as the car park. So whether there isn't a team playing out of here at the moment, but sure in the past years we've seen them marked up.
And is it just a function room in the pavilion, or is there kind of like an indoor squash club or something in there, or anything like that?
Just function rooms, hospitality rooms, big bar area.
That's a nice setup. Here comes Hutton, balls to Croft, who plays forward in defence, and there is no run. This is into the north of the counties, isn't it? North Nottinghamshire, too far away from Mansfield. First visit this for Lancashire to Welbeck. Grantham's the other outground that's used, isn't it, by Notts?
Yeah, of course that's in Lincolnshire. Not gone there this year.
Okay.
Only been there a couple of times actually. Last year, that hottest day of the year.
Hutton to Croft again. Little step down the pitch. He's just turned around a little, come off the edge of the bat, but he's played it softly. Croft. He's disappeared down to third man for a single. He gets his first run. The score moves on to 25 for 1.
The ground was parched, scorched. It was like playing in a field of corn or some such. It was grassless, absolutely bare. It was so dry.
So that was the period where it got to 40 degrees, was it? Yeah. But that was pretty uncomfortable in the tent. Hutton to Jennings. It's flicked off the pads. It's heading down towards the media, broadcasting tent.
The Bijou Marquee.
That's the word I was desperately searching for. 4 runs for Jennings. And the score moves on to 29 for 1. Jennings moves on to 22. A nice little leg glance by Jennings, just flicked away down to fine leg for 4.
Actually, just thinking back, the day when it hit 40 was the county championship was still going on. Notts were at Derbyshire, but it wasn't far off a couple of matches at Grantham.
It's cut by Jennings. Out through the offside. Has he timed that well enough for a successive boundaries? He has. He just bends his knees and cuts the ball nicely, just bouncing a little behind square on the offside, but bouncing its way all the way over the rope for 4. Jennings moves on to 26, and Lancashire 33 for 1.
Strange, isn't it? All those fielders up inside the ring, and you end that initial power play, you spread them out a little more, and suddenly, seemingly, there's more gaps.
2 balls left for Hutton. This is his 6th over on the spin. Into Jennings. Jennings just drops his hands, and again, one with an extra bit of effort from Hutton sent down. And bounce and carry through to the keeper. Jennings as well to drop his hands late. Get out of the way of it.
Hampshire have lost a wicket. Fletcher Middleton has fallen to Denley Jr., Jaden Denley, for 14. Hampshire 42 for 1 after 8.
Yeah, still a lot of runs to get, isn't it, for Hampshire? Even if it is a high-scoring venue, batting last. Jennings on the walk towards the bowler, playing inside the line of that delivery again. And there is no run. That's 11 overs gone. Jennings and Croft are batting here at Welbeck, Lancashire. They've been set 186 to win the match, and they're 33 for 1 after 11 overs.
Suspect one nailed on result today is going to come at Derby, where Somerset made 333 for 5 and Derbyshire 40 for 5 in reply. in a bit of a hole there, shall we say. Bowling change, Lyndon James into the attack for the Outlaws, replacing Dane Patterson. 33 for 1 after 11. So that little bit of success. Lyndon James with the ball in this competition. He's only bowled in the last 3 matches. 1 for 39 against Surrey, that was here, but on the road last week. 3 wickets against Middlesex and 4 against Kent. Missed out with the bat today. Can he deliver with the ball? Lyndon James in to bowl to Stephen Croft, who greets his first ball with a gentle push to mid-wicket and takes a single. .34 for 1. 186 is the mark. Lancashire get there, and there'll be celebrations. Just wonder if they would head, if it is to be Bristol on Friday, if they head south or have one night back home as Lyndon James bowls to Jennings, doesn't even attempt to offer a shot, lets it go past both his bat and the stumps through to the keeper. Where are we? Tuesday night. They could go home for 24 hours, couldn't they?
It's been a bit of a long stretch. I've not been home. I've been on the road since last week. Went to Guildford on Thursday, and then stayed down for Lord's Sunday, and then here on Tuesday. But yeah, I suppose if you're going to Bristol, maybe they might go straight there, the players.
This one's hit up in the air and to the left of our tent and goes for 6. Nice shot from Keaton Jennings. Real blow of intent. NRS correcting me. Dave, the John Fretwell Centre was built with an indoor cricket training centre. Notts did some of their indoor winter training here.
Oh, okay.
I've been in several times when the cricket nets were hanging from the rails.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good setup, isn't it?
Mm.
Takes a bit of finding, but it's nice when you get here.
Lyndon James in again. Struck for 6, bowls to Keaton Jennings, leaves it alone. 40 for 1. Here on BBC Radio Nottingham, online, BBC Radio's Lancashire and Manchester. Live stream broadcast. Thanks to Kirsty and the crew. And thanks to the engineers that managed to sort out our glitches a little earlier on.
Good job to get it up and running, isn't it? It's always a challenge when you're bringing games to our grounds to have, especially when trying to maintain a good service for the live stream and the commentaries.
Tom Loughton getting himself ready. The Lyndon James bowls down the leg side, taken by the diving Schardendorf. And there's no run. .40 for 1. Dane Vilas listed on the card at 4, George Balderson, George Lavelle, Matty Hurst, who got runs the other day, Tom Aspinwall, Tom Bailey, Will Williams and Jack Morley. Lyndon James to bowl to Keaton Jennings, turns it off his hip for a single. End of the over, ended the 12th, 41 for 1. Lancashire still favourites, I'm afraid, Verity. Notts were bowled out for 185. Always fancied that Notts would probably need about 250 to put some sort of par score on the board to challenge this strong Lancashire side, but it wasn't to be. Notts all out for 185, nobody reaching 40. Notts did get a lift early on when Brett Hutton dismissed George Bell in the 7th over of the reply. Lancashire also found it tough early on. They were 14 for 1 at that stage, but they're just starting to break free. Keaton Jennings, until recently an England player, is now on 34. Lancashire 42 for 1 in the 13th. 186 is their victory target.
Yeah, you mentioned who's to come: Velas, Balderson, Lavelle, Hurst. Hurst special moment for him on Sunday. He got his maiden list day 50, and he did it at the home of cricket, did it at Lords. So really
nice, yeah.
Special moment for Matty Hurst. Lavelle got his career best list day score as well. That came at Lords. So both those batters enjoying an excellent weekend in North London on Sunday. A special moment for the pair to have got to respective landmarks.
Hutton bowls with the grunt. Familiar Brett Hutton grunt. Croft eases it out as far as Slater, who took that catch to dismiss George Bell. This must be, well, wrong to say it must be, but I'm presuming this will be Brett Hutton's last over. This is his 7th, figures of 1 for 14. Gotta want to save him some, just in case. Gets interesting towards the back end. Comes in again, bowls to Croft, opens the face, guides it down as far as Dane Patterson. Single taken. It's 43 for 1. Clouds are high. Lots of breaks in them, amongst them. See blue sky. The sun must be behind us somewhere, because all the players are bathed in warm sunshine. Hutton bowls, Jennings again drop it on the leg side. Brett Hutton does the fielding himself and lobs it towards the stumps. Was never going to be able to execute a run it. It's 44 for 1. Ice cream van's done a pretty good as well, from what I've seen. Number of spectators passing by with ice creams, and particularly in the interval, long queues there we could see as we had a little bit of a wander around. I went and fetched the pizzas.
Yes, very kind of you that, Dave. Thank you.
All sorted, very nice. Ownell guide it down towards Patterson, who fires the ball into the gloves of Schardendorf. That's good work by young Shady. Caught the ball and back underarmed it, or back flicked it. Mushroom.
Okay. Just went for the plain old margarita. Yeah, plenty of choice, didn't they? Plenty of choice.
He did in one, driven into the offside. I wouldn't put more than a 5p bit on it, but I think that's what Kevin James had when Hampshire here last week.
I missed it then.
47 for 1.
I didn't see it on the menu. I should have asked him, shouldn't I, really?
13 overs have gone, 47 for 1. Once we're talking pizzas, Keaton Jennings on 35, Stephen Croft on 6. And we're going to get a bowling change at this end, which is a joy for us all and for everybody, because it's Tom Loughton who's going to be bowling, and it's Scott Reed's over as well from this end to describe.
Hampshire have lost a wicket, I don't know if you mentioned that, 65 for 1.
Yeah, Fletcher Middleton.
Gloucestershire have lost a wicket as well, 30 for 1. They've been set 268 to beat Durham in Bristol. 2 games we're keeping an extra close eye on.
Yeah, I want you to keep an extra close eye on this run-up.
He's got Stephen Croft on strike. He's got 1 slip in place. And there's a backward point, extra cover. Mid-off. Starts with a couple of skips and he comes hopping his way back in again. Oh, blimey, there's a lot going on here, isn't there? In and balls to Croft. That's left. And through to the keeper, there's no run. Oh, that keeps him busy.
Yeah.
Gets the steps up, doesn't it?
Hopscotch.
Goodness.
Do you remember hopscotch as a little?
I don't particularly recall it, but I'm assuming it involves quite a lot of hopping. So, yeah, I can understand the comparison. But yeah, he's got a couple of little jumps and bounces way up and then goes again, and that's absolutely bizarre. In and balls to Croft. Oh, that's a good ball. That beats Croft. Bit of extra nip through to the keeper. No
Kevin James, obviously, we just referred to, was sat here the other day, who of course played first class cricket for Hampshire and Middlesex for 2 decades, knows a little bit of or a little thing or two about medium fast bowling. and he says when it gets down to the business part of his run-up, everything is excellent. And what it takes to get there doesn't really matter.
Yeah, fair point. Croft waits as he strides in, balls over the wicket in, edged. Oh, and I think in front of.
Yeah, I don't think it carried.
Slip. He's almost kind of withdrawing from the shot there. Was Croft.
Montgomery at slip.
Low to his right, bounds probably just a fraction in front. He's got a bit of pace about it, hasn't he?
Yeah. He's had a good competition, 10 wickets so far.
Sets off again. To Croft. Fuller ball this time. Beautiful shot. Drilled firmly down the ground for 4 by Stephen Croft. Having edged the previous one from a shot I think he was trying to withdraw from, he thumped it firmly on the ground for 4 to bring up the Lancashire 50.
Very much a White Rose v Red Rose tussle this is. A man from the House of York against a man from the House of Lancaster. York v Blackpool. 50 partnership. No, it's not the 50 partnership, I beg your pardon, it's just the 50 brought up.
Loads into Croft. It's a nice shot run down to third man as well. There is a fielder down on the boundary. Croft happy to roll it off the face of the bat for a single. And the score moves on to 52 for 1. And 1 ball left of the 14th over.
Croft's just gone down to have a word with Keaton Jennings. Doubt they've crossed paths with Tom Loughton before. Played a little bit, I think he played 8 games across the formats for Yorkshire, something like that.
Yeah, so it's Jennings, a left-hander on strike, and he watches this one just angled across him and through to the keeper. And there's no run. And that completes Tom Loughton's first over. 4 runs off with that lovely straight drive by Croft. Good start though by the young fast bowler for Notts. 52 for 1, 14 over.
Yes, Notts are in need of a wicket here, you fancy. Still 134 more required, but with 9 wickets in hand and full 36 overs left at their disposal. Lancashire are easing their way towards the knockout stage. So Lyndon James has changed ends here, coming on to replace Brett Hutton. Stephen Croft is on the strike. He's it looked for all the world to me as if he'd nicked that, but clearly he hadn't. Do you think he'd nick that? Anyhow, it's gone through to the keeper and must have just been a little bit of movement.
It was a bit of a half-hearted appeal, wasn't it, really, from James and slips, but yeah, it must have been unless he brushed something on its way through.
Yeah. Decent first ball from Lyndon James. Here he comes again. Balls to Croft, wristily cuts it down to Patterson. Third man, in comes the throw straight into the gloves. Derbyshire are now 6 down at home, 56 for 6, chasing 334. That could be the first one to finish today of the 8 matches. Sometimes you get to this stage and if you can't qualify, it's almost a case of let's get it done and dusted and move on with our season. As Lyndon James bowls again, nice looking drive into the offside, but there's no run. Nicely fielded by Liam Patterson-White, who I presume will be introduced before too long. Not for a wee while yet. Tom Loughton's only had 1, and this is Lyndon James' second over, but almost certainly Liam Patterson-White will be the 5th bowler used, and then Matthew Montgomery, a little bit of right arm off spin if a 6th bowler is needed. Lyndon James, the bowl to Keaton Jennings, will cut this hard away to backward point. There's protection out there. with Sammy King, who I don't think we've mentioned since this innings began. He's been out in the deep, way to our left, almost out of sight. In fact, from as far as I'm concerned, he is out of sight, but they take a single. That's 54 for 1. Played quite nicely earlier, Sammy King for his 37. There's James. In to bowl down the leg side, taken by Schardendorf, but crucially, I use those words, down the leg side, so it is a wide. Another one to the total. Just a little loose from Linden. Knots haven't got that many runs to gift Lancashire. Make everyone count. Croft into the side today. Faces Lyndon James again. That's gone down the leg side. Now whether the umpires interpreted that as being a lot closer than the previous one, or whether it did brush the flannels, I'm not sure, but doesn't give a wide this time. Bright, glary conditions as Lyndon James, to conclude the over, bowls to Stephen Croft. Will just walk down to the other end as he plays it out as far as King for a single. 56 for 1 after 15 overs. At the same stage, Notts only had 26 runs on the board. They were 26 for 4. Really in need of a partnership that didn't really come to the sort of magnitude or the size that they'd have been looking for. 185 does win games, but not very often crucial games. Lancashire in the box seat. Yeah. 130 more required.
Need a lot to go your way, don't you? Bowling second time round. The chances that are created, probably all of them need to be taken. Fielding needs to be good. It's pulled away by Croft down towards deep backward square leg. Croft takes a single, so he moves on to 14. So 57 for 1, but it could have been an awful lot worse for Notts. At least we've got something on the board to work with. But as long as these two continue to tick the score along at the minute, it does feel like it's going to be some way short. But they're in a real old mess in the runnings at one point in the Outlaws. It's left by Jennings. Lowton comes into him, angles it across Keaton Jennings through to the keeper. No run.
Yeah, Liam Patterson-White's almost fielding in the match referee's tent in the far corner. Simon Hinks, former Kent player, is our match referee today.
We've got the committee tent, haven't we? Which is where the box seats are. Nice fancy meal at lunch, I'm sure.
The written press, is about 6 of them in there, I think.
It's pulled away by Jennings. Straight to mid-wicket.
Yeah, that's Montgomery, who was still in the slips, or the sole slipper in the previous over. You may remember that one that was edged and fell just short of him. Well, now he's been brought out into the ring.
Lowton turns and hops his way back in again with Jennings on 36. Lowton in and bowls, cuts out through the offside. There is a fielder on that deep point boundary, Ben Slater, who took the catch to dismiss George Bell, the only wicket that Lancashire have lost so far. Jennings moves on to 37. 58 for 1. 2 balls remaining of the 16th over. Brings Stephen Croft back on strike. Croft looking over his left shoulder, looking towards that leg side boundary, slip back in place. Lowton sets off again. Strides in, tall man, bowls, bit of width this time, carved away by Croft. Partially stopped at backward point, which is a pretty decent effort by Martindale. It's hit firmly on the cut by Croft. Did well to get something on it and take a bit of pace off the ball. Croft gets a single, moves on to 15. The score ticks along to 59 for 1.
Hampshire 82 for 1 now. Young Tom Prest is 51 not out. Ben Brown is at the other end.
Final ball of the 16th over. Loughton to Jennings, who's down the pitch, and that's pulled again through the leg side. Picked up by King on that square leg boundary. Jennings gets a single, he keeps the strike. It's the end of the over, and the score's 60 for 1. Jennings on 38 and Croft on 15. 46 run partnership between these two, and the run rate going at well, pretty much where they need to be, around about 3.5 runs per over.
Yes, Notts need a clatter of Lancashire wickets here. You feel if they're to just put a little bit more pressure on the Red Rose. It was nice and tight early on, got the wicket, but once we got out of the power play, ironically, Keaton Jennings started to unload, just taking on a little bit of fluid there. Is that Jack Blatherwick doing the 12th man in?
I think it is, yeah.
Bringing a drink out for them both, so we're ready to go. 60 for 1 after 6. Jennings 38, Croft 15. Lyndon James bowls, and a slice of fortune there for Keaton Jennings, and then it wasn't meant to go there. It's gone down to third, and it was an outside edge that flew into the or over the slip cordon. Not that there was a slip cordon, but it's a little fortunate. 61 for 1. Long distance message being relayed from this end of the ground to Seba Mead at the far end. Now we're ready. Lyndon James comes in to bowl to Croft, just plays it gently with soft hands on the leg side. And there's no addition to the total. Third year of this competition being played at this time of the year in this sort of format. Final taken away from Lords, always used to be a real high spot of the season, the domestic one-day final taking place at Lords. Notts winners in 2017, I beg your pardon. Deflected this time, down the leg side by Croft. Should be kept in, and is, but they come back for 2. 63 for 1.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, that the final has been taken away from Lords. I actually think Trent Bridge the last couple of years have put on a really good show. The crowds have been decent, I think. The first one in particular was horrible because it was so little turnaround between the semi-finals and the final. It gave neither Durham or Glamorgan much chance to properly sell tickets and get fans there.
Lyndon James bowls, and again deflected down to long legs. On a Thursday, oh, it's gone for 4, this one. It's gone for 4. It was on a Thursday as well, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Absolute nonsense.
Yeah, it was. Last year was better organised, wasn't it? There was a few weeks gap between the semi-finals and the final. It was over a weekend, and I thought it was a really good day. I enjoyed it. I know Lancashire on the wrong end of it last year, and Kent were well worthy winners, but it was a good crowd.
Yeah.
And as ever, Trent Bridge does it well. It's a terrific place to go and watch cricket, isn't it? So it's a shame it's not at Lords, but it's a good venue to have it at.
50 partnership brought up with that boundary. Stephen Croft on to 21. He's only faced 27 balls. This one jacks back, almost cuts him in half. He did too much to get a verdict from the umpire. Partnership 53 from 61. Next option for Seba Mead has surely got to be Liam Patterson-White, just to see what the slow left arm spinner can do on this surface. Don't want to leave it too long. As James bowls again to Croft. Defensive prod ends the over, so we're through 17 overs. 67 for 1 at the same stage. Notts were 34 for 4. Innings that was that time not going anywhere. So Nottinghamshire's next game at the moment would be Canterbury on the 10th of September.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's, what is it today? Is it the 22nd of August? The next game, 10th of September at Canterbury.
Ridiculous.
Unless they can turn this around, and as a result in their favourite, New Close.
Loughton balls pulled by Jennings out towards deep backward square leg for 4 runs. Well, he's tried it a couple of times, Mr. Loughton, Jennings, that pull. A couple of times he's kind of mistimed it. That one he didn't. Absolutely nailed that pull shot. 4 to Jennings, and he moves on to 43, and the score moves on to 71 for 1.
19 days before Notts' next match at Canterbury. I presume Lancashire got 4 county championship matches left, so they will start a week earlier.
They do. Loughton sets off again over the wicket and bowls to Jennings, a full ball which is turned to mid-on. No run. I mean, I actually don't mind the one day. Could be played alongside the 100. Something has to be played alongside the 100, and I've really enjoyed the competition the last couple of years. I think it's been terrific. It's been good to see some young players being given a chance. A lot of these players would never get the chance in the first team without the fact that some senior players have left and opened up space for others. But that's ridiculous. You can't go for so long in between games. That just doesn't seem right, does it? Cut by Jennings. Can't get it past the infield. Scooped up that extra cover by Lyndon James, and there is no run. 71 for 1 in the 18th. A target of 186 for Lancashire to win the match.
It's just the devaluing of the competition I'm really not a fan of. No television coverage of anything other than the final. So many players away missing.
Loughton to Jennings. A little step to the leg side just to open up that offside. Tries to drill it away to the right of mid-off where Hamid fields, and there's no run.
It's going to be a 50-over World Cup just around the corner with players who aren't playing 50-over cricket.
I don't think they're that bothered about that, are they?
No, they're not.
I think they just feel they can transfer skills from one format to the other. There's Loughton to Jennings, over the wicket to Keaton Jennings, crunching the ball away. Again, doesn't time it as well as he would have liked, and Lyndon James fields away to his right hand side. He's inside the circle with extra cover, picks the ball up 5 or 6 yards to his right, catching up with it. It's another dot ball, so having just dropped a little short, and he was pulled for 4 rather emphatically in the first ball of the over. He's come back well here, Loughton. He's sent down 4 dot balls since that first delivery was just a little bit short to Jennings, so a good comeback. Gives Jennings a chance to go and pull it again towards mid-wicket, and he's through for a single. And that's the end of the over. So 18 overs gone, 72 for 1, Jennings 44 and Croft on 21.
Yeah, not creating any opportunities here at the moment. It's relatively easy going for these 2 experienced players, Jennings and Croft. Jennings 44, Croft 21. Partnership is now worth 58 for this second wicket. Still going to be pace on with Lyndon James. Bowling to Keaton Jennings, slips back in. Matthew Montgomery. Lancashire require 114 runs from 32 overs as James begins with a wide. 1 more to the total, 73 for 1. Lancashire.
This 50-run partnership between these two is will have sent a lot of comforting feelings back towards Lancashire's dressing room, when Bell got out relatively early on, and chance for Notts to try and get in and amongst Lancashire and take a couple more, but 2 of the most experienced players that Lancashire have got and have settled things down very nicely.
Next ball allowed to go through to Schardendorf. No run.
Led by the captain, Keaton Jennings, but a terrific effort this by Stephen Croft. I mean, she's not played a one-day match all season. part of the coaching setup. He's been helping prepare the players for games, out there throwing the ball and with the mitt on and doing all the coaching side of it. And now he's having to go out there and try and get some runs, and he's done well so far.
James Bowles chopped away by Jennings. Just another single. It's a backward point, 75 for 1. In fact, it's already gone on, 74 for 1. Required run rate, those of you watching the live stream can see, it's just about 3.5 and over, so certainly not too taxing. James Bowles and Stephen Croft momentarily knocked off balance by the one that comes back and strikes him in the stomach. Not's in trouble from the very first half an hour or so of the day, and they lost 4 wickets, having won the toss and opted to bat. James Bowles, and Croft a little late on this one. Played at it, missed it, goes through to Schardendorf. Got up to 185 with 39 from Liam Patterson-White, 37 Sammy King, 32 from Dane Schardendorf. Bowled out with 7 overs to spare. James in to Croft. This might have been off the pad. I think it's going to be a leg bite, is indeed. 75 for 1. One ball left in this over, the 19th. Needs something to happen. Needs to happen very quickly. Just over 100 required, 111 to be exact. As Lyndon James lengthens his stride, bowls wide of the off stump. Through to the keeper, 19 gone, 75 for 1, 3 from that over. It's been a steady ratio of 3s, 4s, 5s and 6s from the last half a dozen overs. Change your gloves and a towel being brought out for Keaton Jennings and Stephen Croft. Pace is going to come off the ball for the first time. It's going to be Matthew Montgomery. So the right arm off spinner on before Liam Patterson-White. Not yet taken a wicket in this year's competition. Matthew Montgomery has just come on here and there for the odd couple of overs. We're bowling to Stephen Croft initially. There's a radio update. Yes, Nottinghamshire made 185 in their 50 overs. In fact, they were bowled out with 7 overs, 7 balls rather to spare. Nobody made 40. Top scorer Liam Patterson-White with 39. Notts did get an early breakthrough when Lancashire began their reply. Brett Hutton dismissing George Bell for just 2. But since then, Keaton Jennings and Stephen Croft have got Lancashire in a very strong position. After 19 overs, chasing 186, they're 75 for 1. First ball brings a sweep from Stephen Croft, gets a single past the keeper, so 110 more required. Captain Hamid just having a word with his bowler. If you like alliterations, you've got Hasib Hamid chatting to Matthew Montgomery. Going to be bowling to Keaton Jennings, who's just standing with his arm raised up as if to say, I'm not ready. Now Montgomery bowls to Jennings, cuts this away. Get another single to move within 4 of a half century now. Jennings, 77 for 1. Montgomery tries round the wicket to Croft, just works it to mid-wicket. Patterson White doing the fielding. Dot ball on this occasion. In comes Montgomery. Good work from Shardov. It just popped up, taken on the full by the keeper, who flicked it quickly towards the stumps. Montgomery's bowling is a recent German international. Bowls now to Croft. He defends his mother's side. The family tree has German heritage and played for Germany in those recent World ICC T20 qualifiers in Scotland. This one's driven. He's made a nice good stop down to his right there into the over. So just a couple of singles from that over. Montgomery's first. Lancashire 77 for 1 after 20. Same stage. Notts had only got 50 on the board. We're already half the side out. Notts have really got to find a way to conjure up a few wickets. Is Liam Patterson White? No, it was walking towards the far end, but continues his journey. It's going to be Lyndon James to continue, I think.
Tom Prest is 70-0 out for Hampshire, and they're 115 for 1 after 20 overs, and their target is 326 to beat Kent, and perhaps give them a chance of finishing top, but it would need the old calculators out and the run rates to be worked out. A good start with the bat for Hampshire in their run chase on the Isle of Wight. Here's Lyndon James to Keaton Jennings. That's down the leg side by Lyndon James. He just brushed some part of the thigh pad perhaps of Keaton Jennings. A wide not signalled by the umpire, but that little noise perhaps that Lyndon James heard was a little brush off the pad.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure Kent supporters have ever cheered for Nottinghamshire before, but I'd imagine they'd be hoping that Notts can turn this around here.
Need a bit of a spark from somewhere, don't they, Notts? In a minute, Jennings and Croft look calm and in control. It's just he plays inside the line of that.
Notts are in need of 2 results to make the knockout phase. They've got to take care of business here and beat Lancashire, which at the moment is not looking likely. And then they've also got to hope that Hampshire defeat Kent. Hampshire set to score 326, but they have got off to a good start.
It's James back in to Keaton Jennings. He'll shuffle down the pitch and just dab the ball back to Lyndon James. No runs scored. 77 for 1, 46 to Jennings, 22 to Croft. Lyndon James walking back to his mark. Squad number 45 for Notts. 3 dot balls to start his 5th over. Jennings gets himself set. Tap of the bat. Good viewing positions here inside at Welbeck Cricket Club. As Jennings drives straight down the ground into the stump to the non-striker's end. And there is no run. But I had a little walk around before and during the lunch break as well, and you get pretty much a good view wherever you're sitting. If you're on the little banks, it's like a little banks that I presume have been man-made to,
you'd imagine,
to create a bit of elevation. For those on the live stream, you can see that now. Those that are on that kind of verge is a really good spot to watch some cricket. Plenty inside the ground as well. And there's James to Jennings. It's worked away to mid-wicket. And he gets across the ground to his left. And Jennings gets a single. Moves on to 47, 78 for 1.
Yeah, just worth saying as well how much cricket clubs up and down the country rely on their band of volunteers. There would have been any number out, I'm sure, yesterday. In fact, they may have been left out from last week, but put all those, they're not exactly deck chairs, are they, but those fold-up chairs out all around the ground. Need a lot of volunteers to do that.
Croft waits and drives us away through deep point for a single. Ben Slater there on the boundary for Notts. Croft gets 1, and he's pinched the strike as well. It's the final ball of the 21st over of the Lancashire innings. Croft on to 23 now. Jennings on 47. Both batters in conversation, hands on hips, nattering away midway down the pitch, looking over towards the scoreboard. They'll feel as though at the minute things are under control. 79 for 1 after 21 overs.
Yeah, there are lots of people that have brought their own deck chairs.
I've seen some fancy ones actually, Dave, with not just armrests but also places where you can put your beer or a drink.
There's Matthew Montgomery, that's turned down the leg side and deceived Schardendorf, so they do get an extra run as well.
There's a guy sat to our left behind the other side of the media centre, and his chair has got like a collapsible table that tucks into the side of it, lifts it up.
Media, I like the use of the term media centre for our bijou marquee.
Oh, it was very impressive.
Next one is deflected to square leg by Jennings for a single, moves to 48. This is like our summer camp, our Glastonbury, our...
I've had a lot of them this summer. I think I've had my fill.
Next ball turned away by Croft square on his leg side. Running commentary coming from Kevin Shine, the Notts bowling coach. You can all hear all around the world. Next delivery on its way now, and pulled away by Jennings onto the leg side, fielded by a Mead at mid-wicket. Good stop by the Nottinghamshire skipper. Montgomery again bowls, cut into the offside, and this time fielded by Ben Martindale. 82 for 1. Is there a build-up of pressure? I'm not entirely sure. I can't get Montgomery away at the moment. That's is that 3 dot balls in a row.
It is, yeah.
No need to panic. I felt George Bell went a little early with his dismissal. He might be ruefully feeling the same. That's slapped away by Jennings. Should be able to get back for 2. That'll take him to a half century from 69 balls. Very well played, Keaton Jennings. Doesn't matter if he's wearing the colours. Durham as he used to be, or Lancashire as he does now, always gets runs against Notts, and he's done it again.
Yeah, super knock by Keaton Jennings. Just a little bit of width that time by Montgomery, short and wide. It's the first real bad ball he bowled, and Jennings latched onto it, able to run a couple and bring up 50.
It's 86 for 1 after 22. There was a game, I mean it must be 10 years ago now, up at Chesterley Street, that Notts had dominated throughout a one-day match, and it got closer than it should have got, but it got really close in the last over, and with 2 balls to go, Keaton Jennings had to come out to bat. It was in the days where he batted at 7 for Durham in white ball cricket, and he came out to bat needing 10 from 2 balls, and he'd Harry Gurney for 4 and then 6 to win the match.
He's got a good record against Notts.
He's got a great record against Notts. Here's LPW, Liam Patterson White.
Croft on strike. The Patterson White is twirling in, bowling to Croft, who's playing forward and defending, and there is no run. We start over number 23 with the Lancashire innings. Slowly down towards double figures, the target to win. Patterson White bowls, and Croft goes on the little scoop, and down on one knee and just ramp it over the keeper down towards the boundary. They'll run back for 2. They might think of a 3rd, and they
It's gone.
do. Oh no, it has gone for 4. I think it's Brett Hutton, isn't it, trying to catch up with it. I thought he'd do just that, but it's beyond his reach.
Just disappeared out of our eye line.
Yeah.
He was in hot pursuit.
down towards that chap with a very fancy deck chair with a collapsible table attached to it. So forward to Croft, he moves on to 28. It is 89 for 1, so it is down to double figures for Lancashire to win the game. 97 more required from here on in. Patterson White to Stephen Croft, who just works this one up towards mid-wicket. In fact, he has to go galloping after the ball from his own bowling. He was the nearest fielder to it. Leg side field set back towards the boundary, long on, deep mid-wicket. So off he went in pursuit, and they get through for a single. 90 for 1. Croft moves on to 29. See Hasib Hamid having a chat with his bowler. Jennings on strike. Left-hand, right-hand combinations, and the field changes with Jennings, the tall left-hand batter. Patterson White comes around the wicket to Jennings, and has worked out towards Hamid at mid-wicket, and there is no run. So 5 off the over so far, with 2 balls remaining. Patterson White is in to Jennings, who just gets onto that front foot again. Ball deflects off the inner half of the bat, bouncing out to backward square leg where Patterson fields. They jog through for 1 more. 6 has come off this over, so a good one for Lancashire. Final delivery. Patterson White in, cut away by Croft. Up towards a sweeper on the point boundary, Ben Slater. And Croft gets a single. Takes him on to 30, and that's the end of the over. 23 overs gone. And Lancashire are 92 for 1. Jennings and Croft going along very nicely, and the Outlaws are still searching for wickets.
Yeah, just about at the halfway stage now, aren't they? 92. They've got 94 more required. Welcome back, listeners, to 5 Sports Extra here at Welbeck, where Lancashire have totally dominated the day up to this point, seemingly on course to go through to the knockout phase of the One Day Cup. They bowled Nottinghamshire out for 185, although they lost George Bell to Brett Hutton very early on in the reply. 2 of their senior stalwarts, Stephen Croft, non-senior, and Keaton Jennings, have steered Lancashire to a real position of strength. They're 92 for 1 after 23. I'm Dave Bracegood, and here's Scott Reed.
It's Matt Montgomery around the wicket bowling, and Croft takes another single just off the front foot, works the ball across that front pad out towards mid-wicket, jogs through for 1, moves on to 31. Yeah, 93 for 2 for 1 now. Yeah, as Dave said, a
that's
real
halfway,
sense.
isn't it?
It is. Yes. Montgomery balls to Jennings. Takes another 1 to mid-off. I think those experienced players you're describing, Dave, have been excellent, haven't they? There was an opening early on when Bell would get out early on for Lancs, but these two have come together and they play with a great sense of authority and calmness, really. Goes back this time, does Croft, and plays it on the bounce back to Matt Montgomery, who fields off his own bowling, and there is no run. Croft remains on 31. Montgomery around the wicket, twirling in towards Croft. A wristy flick away to mid-wicket, no run.
Quite blustery now, as you can probably hear. Squeaking noise as our tent rocking from side to side.
Worked away backward square on the leg side by Stephen Croft, who jogs through for another run. Takes his total to 32, and it's now 94 for 1. Inching towards the halfway point of overs remaining for Lancashire. It's beyond halfway in terms of runs required for the Red Rose. And that's hit the pad of Keaton Jennings as he goes off the back foot, trying to work it to mid-wicket. Half an appeal by Matt Montgomery, but not out, says the umpire. That does complete the 24th over. 94 for 1. Lancashire, a target of 186 to win this match. If they do, then they're into the knockout stages. It doesn't matter what happens between Hampshire and Kent. Anything other than a Lancashire win potentially opens up the door for either Notts or for Kent.
Just 2 singles from that last over, the best over for Notts for a while. Liam Patterson-White going to continue from the far end, the Suckholm end of the ground. One of many local villages, Suckholm. So spin at both ends at the moment. Notts have tried their quartet of seamers. Brett Hutton and Dane Patterson, and then the change bowlers, Tom Loughton and Lyndon James. Now the right arm off spinner Matthew Montgomery, and here is Liam Patterson-White as Seaber Mead, the Notts captain who used to play for Hampshire, just settling on his field. And Patterson-White bowls to Stephen Croft, drives it comfortably down the ground for a single. Lancashire in all blue, predominantly dark blue. There's an area of the chest that's much paler colour. And Stephen Croft out there, not in his own gear. He's got Jack Blatherwick's top on. Blatherwick and his squad number 4. Wasn't expected to play in this game. Patterson-White to Keaton Jennings. Deflects this off his hip, fielded by Dane Patterson. And there's no run. 96 for 1. The victory target is 186, so 90 more required. 25 overs to go after this one, and still a very strong batting lineup to come. Dane Vilas and George Balderson, the next 2 on the card if required. This is turned down the leg side and it's given as a wide. Went quite a long way, that one. Patterson-White getting a bit of purchase, but fortunately for him, down the leg side, so an extra run and an extra ball. Jennings just helps this into the offside. It's fielded by Sammy King, who for much of the innings has been out on that far boundary. Is now inside the 30-yard circle. 98 for 1. Liam Patterson-White, the umpire at that far end is Peter Hartley, who looks on as Croft dances down the track a couple of paces, hits him on the pad. An appeal from LPW Liam Patterson-White. I don't think that was ever likely to gain favour. In fact, it produces a bit of a chuckle from umpire Hartley. Decent crowd in. Pleasant overhead conditions as Croft works this on the leg side. Sammy King makes the diving stop. Tall 20-year-old batter who played really nicely early on in the day for his 37. Patterson-White in again, tosses it off, and Croft's been round the block a few times, was waiting for that, expecting it, just defends it, and that's the end of the 25th over. And almost like in those American sports, they're going to take a timeout as a plethora of 12th and 13th and 14th men come on with drinks and towels and spare gloves and sundry other items, and they're going to take an umpire approved break here. The only people that don't seem to be getting any attention are the umpires, stand alone in the middle.
Yes, it's not quite a strategic timeout. It's just a little natural break in the innings. For the benefit of sports expert listeners who are waiting for the start of the Welsh Fire reply at Headingley, the context of this is Dave Garster qualification. Kent are still in with a chance of sneaking into the top 3. If they were to beat Hampshire, they'd need Nottinghamshire to win this match. Hampshire are 145 for 2 after 25 overs. They've been set 326 to win, and the other game, there's plenty going on in the One Day Cup, and all of them are on the BBC Sport website and app, all coverage of them all. But the other game, which has an implication, is in the other group where Gloucestershire are trying to sneak into a knockout match. If they beat Durham 101 for 3 in the 18th over, then they've been set a target of 268 to win in Bristol.
And as you've got the scores up, have we got a finish yet? Because Derbyshire were hanging on by a thread.
We haven't. They kind of put together a little bit of a partnership here to frustrate Somerset, because Derbyshire are now 132 for 6,
Right.
having been 56 for 6. So Anush Dahl and Alex Thompson are batting together. Both are unbeaten on 40, so not quite got through the game there between Derbyshire and Somerset. They're making it a little tougher now for the Somerset boys.
But they still need 200 more.
They do. Yeah.
Been drunk. Faces have been wiped with towels. Hot, sweaty, sticky batting gloves have been returned to the pavilion to dry out. New, fresh ones out of the bag have been received by Stephen Croft and by Keaton Jennings. The umpires have had their chat without having a drink brought out to them, and we're going to have a resumption here in the entertainment at Welbeck Cricket Club. Not too far away from Mansfield in North Nottinghamshire. 98 for 1 after 25 overs, and Matthew Montgomery's going to be bowling to Keaton Jennings, who's on 53. Floats the ball up high, loopy delivery from the right arm off spinner, and Jennings drops it on the leg side and just walks down to the other end. Didn't even break into a trot, just walked his way down to the other end. 99 for 1. And Stephen Croft back under strike. Montgomery bowls, just speared this one in, and that should bring a smattering of applause, and does, because Lancashire reached 3 figures, 100 for 1. Good number down actually, Scott, from the northwest. Seen quite a lot of Lancashire supporters wearing the replica tops and what have you. Next delivery is swept away for 4 by Jennings. Are they just now going to go through the gears and bring an early ending to procedures here? This has been 1-1-4 since the drinks break, and Keaton Jennings on his way.
He's good on the sweep, isn't he, Jennings? Strong sweep with the ball, both conventional and reverse sweep, and when he does get it out the middle of the bat, he tends to get full value for it. Good looking shot.
Matthew Montgomery in again. Be well advised not to drop it there. Doesn't. Just held it back a little bit. It's a quite gentle turn, and it's pushed out as far as Ben Martindale. Up inside the ring on the offside, well inside the ring. It's preventing a push and run. Instead then, Jennings drives it down the ground to Lyndon James, who does the fielding. It's 105 for 1.
Real knock of authority this, isn't it, by Keaton Jennings? He's looked in complete control, hasn't he, really, since he's been out there.
Montgomery bowls, and a little bit of bounce there over the shoulder of Stephen Croft's bat. Bale whipped off for good measure by Dane Schardendorf, the 21-year-old Zimbabwe-born wicket-keeper.
Batted quite well, didn't he, earlier on?
Yeah, 105 for 1 after 26.
Schardendorf made 32. The Notts Outlaws managed to just rally a little bit, but the damage was done early on. The dreadful start for the home side. Slater, Martindale, James and Hamid all out in single figures, but they did find 2 partnerships to get at least some semblance of a score on the board. King and Patterson White putting on 50, and then Patterson White and Sherendorf putting on 56. Gave them a little something to work with. As Jennings plays forward to this next delivery from Patterson White, and there's no run, but at the minute it looks well short. 105 for 1. Jennings on 59. Patterson White comes around the wicket and bowls. So Jennings, who goes back and cuts the ball away through the offside, jogs through for a single, takes his score on to 60, and that takes Lancashire on to 106 for 1.
This run rate tumbling all the time. Less than 3.5 required now per over.
Croft waits for Patterson White, who's in, and he goes right back and drives the ball away, bouncing out through the offside towards Slater on the cover boundary. Croft moves on to 35 not out, 107 for 1. Brings Jennings back on strike. 3 balls left of the over, the 27th of the innings. Patterson White twirling in to Jennings. Again, just takes a single and calmly jogs through for another. 108 for 1 with 2 balls remaining over the 27th over. Croft 35. Here comes Patterson White to Croft. Just leans into it and manoeuvres the ball away through the leg side, picked up by Sammy King at mid-wicket. Croft gets another single, dealing in ones at the minute, but content to do so, Lancashire.
Served our purpose for 5 Sports Extra.
Final ball of the over. Patterson White's into Keaton Jennings. Jennings drills it through mid-on for 1. 110 for 1. 27 gone. Target of 186.
Nearing 4:30. Time to do some local radio updates in the next minute or two. For Scott and myself. Keaton Jennings 62, Croft 36. This partnership nearing a century now. 96 they've added since George Bell played a bit of a rash shot, really. Went unnecessarily early. Brett Hutton hold out to Ben Slater, only made 2. That's 14 for 1. Dane Patterson coming back into the attack. Took quite a nasty tumble early on when he was bowling from this end. He released the ball, did a bit of a Mark Wood, went down in a heap. Bowling to Jennings. 76 required from 23 overs as Patterson into Keaton Jennings. First ball is fullish of length on the pads of Jennings, just turned away easily for another single. Takes the score on to Nelson. 1 or 2 darker clouds around.
Yeah, they're going along nicely down here. They're well in control of the run chase. The captain Keaton Jennings batting with a great deal of authority. There's a terrific knock. He's 62 not out.
Patterson.
Side today wasn't due to play any one-day cricket.
Bowls cut away.
But he's returned. Ben Slater of Brett Hutton for 2. That 185 all out for Notts, well below par. Even with a bit of a rally later on in their innings, a couple of half-century partnerships, but the damage was done early on. 3 wickets for Will Williams, 2 for Tom Daly, 2 for George Botherston.
87 balls.
Target of 186 still.
On strike now. Patterson bowls to him. Works it to mid-wicket, fielded by Asib Hamid. Brian says Dave. Sukhum is pronounced Sukhum. Yeah, just up the road is Woodhouse, pronounced Woodhouse. Scott's done his radio update. Got one to come for Radio Nottingham in a moment as Jennings turns this out to mid-wicket to the not skipper, Asib Hamid. That's 99. Partnership would be decisive today, and so it seemed. For a singles, that is the century partnership. 114 for 1.
Outlaws are rather been struggling in the one-day cup as they take on Lancashire.
Century partnership now between Keaton Jennings and Stephen Croft has taken Lancashire to within 72 runs of victory. Notts all out today for 185. They won the toss, opted to bat first, were very quickly 23 for 4 playing catch-up. Did pretty well, in fact, to get to 185, and although they got an early wicket, these 2 experienced Lancashire players taking their side to victory seemingly at the moment. Lancashire 114 for 1.
Ball commentary continuing on the BBC Sport website.
Single taken. 115 for 1 after 28. So I don't know what you heard of all that, Scott, but don't go on the M1 going north of here, Tib Shelf.
Okay.
Between Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire, M1 closed in both directions.
Not ideal.
It'll be right.
Let's hope everyone's all right. If it's an accident, it's fingers crossed everyone's
But they
all
say
right.
it was a lorry that had...
Okay, right, okay.
I don't know.
Well, you're struggling to go anywhere if you can't go north or south, aren't you? It's Patterson White to Jennings, who takes a single through the. I might just stay for another night. I've been away for a week. I just carry on. I might never go home. 116 for one.
Well, we'll have to have a look. We'll have a. So we'll have a listen in 25 minutes at the next news if play's still going on. It should be.
Croft waits. Patterson White. Excuse me. He's in. Has he found the edge? He has. Croft caught behind. Nice bowling by Patterson White. Just tempted him forward. Just clipped the outside edge of the bat and into the gloves of the keeper, and that brings to an end a very good partnership, a century partnership between Jennings and Croft. Notts do have a second wicket. Sharon Dorf with a catch, the keeper. The bowling of Liam Patterson White, 116 for 2.
Yeah, wasn't content with getting him out once. He whipped off the bails as well for good measure, just in case. But the finger had gone up. Well, we have seen cricket matches won from this sort of situation where all day long you're playing catch up. Highly unlikely, but if Notts are to get back in it, they'll need to rely on that old cricketing mantra: 1 wicket brings 2. And then hope it brings 3, 4 and 5. Keane Jennings is still there on 66. Talking about experienced players, I presume it's Dane Vilas it is.
Yep.
On his way out to the middle in his last season for Lancashire. That's right, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's his last. Yeah, it's his last season in certainly in county cricket. I'm assuming it will be his last season for Lancashire. But I'm not sure if he actually said that. But he's retiring from county cricket at the end of this year. I think he's intending on playing some T20 cricket in South Africa in that South African league back in his home country. So yeah, final few weeks of Dane Vilas. He has been absolutely outstanding for the club over 6 or 7 years, 4 of them as captain, I think he was. Yeah, he's been great. Missed out on the trophy as a captain, came very close on a couple of occasions. And I shouldn't take away the second division title from him, but perhaps not the one he was hoping to try and win. Maybe he can bow out with the trophy this year, but he's got a job to do to keep Lancashire in this competition. Oh, he's been edged and caught at slip. Well, it's 2 and 2. Vilas goes first ball, going back to Patterson White, and he's just run it straight into the hands of slip. And Lancashire lose the 3rd wicket. Well, hang on just yet. 2 quick wickets, 2 in 2 balls. Patterson White finding the edge of Croft's bat, and then Vilas running it down to slip. Catch taken, good catch by Montgomery. And that might well, I'm sure it will, just change things now. Maybe just a few bit of extra nerves in the Lancashire dressing room as they lose their 3rd wicket. 116 for 3. Vilas has gone first ball.
Well, extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. That we're just giving him the big send-off, metaphorically, talking about him ending his time in English domestic cricket, and we'd almost used up the 2 minutes talking about him as he made his way to the middle, just trying to cut Liam Patterson away, and went very fine, very quickly to Matthew Montgomery's right. Good catch, and Liam Patterson White finds himself on a hat-trick. There's not been a hat-trick by a Nottinghamshire bowler in List A cricket, one-day cricket, since 1999, when Vasbert Traits got 4 in 4 against Derbyshire.
He's been in no form this summer, Dane Vilas. He's found a little bit of form in the one-day cup. I think he had 3 half centuries on the bounce in the group stage early on, but it's been a pretty tough summer for Dane Vilas in what will be his last for the club. And got out first ball, and who knows, it could yet be another twist in the tail.
Not 7 wickets away from victory. Come on, Hampshire.
Shall I take a look?
We'll have a look in a moment. We've got potentially an important milestone.
Yeah,
ahead of Liam Patterson White.
There's been a couple of hat-trick opportunities this season for Lancashire, and they've never taken a hat-trick in List A cricket, which I found quite remarkable.
Never?
No. Think of all the one-day success they've had, and never had a hat-trick.
Been a lot of hat-tricks this year up and down the country in the various competitions. Been a few in this one. The very first day, I think Matthew Reevis of Yorkshire got one. There was another one as well. Timal Mills got one in the 100. There's been one or two in the women's competition. Here's Liam Patterson-White bowling to the new man, George Balderson. Patterson-White from the Succombe end bowls and Balderson defends. And there's no run, 116 for 3. We had an over in the blast where Shaheen Shah Afridi twice in the same over was on a hat-trick.
I was watching the start of that because Lancashire's game had finished already. We had it on the live stream in the commentary box. Yeah, that was some game, that, wasn't it? As Balderson plays forward and defends, and there's no run. Didn't Notts go on to lose it in the end?
Yes. Lancashire 7 for 4 after 1 over. Takes some doing when you think about it. 7 for 4 after 1 over.
Patterson-White to Balderson. That's pushed away into the offside for a single, and he keeps the strikes. That's the end of the 29th, 116 for 3.
I've wasted so many years of my life waiting for an over in which 4 wickets go down to commentate on, and myself and Colin Fray were alternating, and Colin Fray did that over, which was played and played and played to death on all the various media outlets over the next day or two. So he was very happy.
Who were Notts playing again?
Warwickshire. Or Birmingham Bears.
Oh, of course, yeah. Some game, that.
Not a hat-trick for LPW, but 2 wickets in that over, and it's just made it marginally closer than it was. Still a run rate of less than 3.5 and over. 69 required from 21. Dane Patterson will bowl to George Balderson, who got off the mark with a single. Keaton Jennings still there on 66.
I gave Villas the big talk up on Sunday day when he got nothing on Sunday. I'm going to say he's been rubbish for 7 years. He might get some runs now.
There's Dane Patterson. 2 lefties out there. Balderson pushes this one to point, fielded by Ben Martindale. And there's no run. Notts in the green and gold. Lancashire in all blue.
Interesting decision to make. Should Lancashire go on to win this match, and assuming that Bohannon's fit, because Crofts has got some runs in the game. Velas hasn't really found too much form all summer. Anyway, thinking ahead.
There's Dane Patterson. You keep thinking about Friday at Bristol. Lovely delivery from Patterson. This goes through to the keeper at the new close cricket ground on the Isle of Wight. Ben Brown 50 not out, Nyron Donald 50 not out. Hampshire 195 for 2 after 31 overs. So they require 131 from 19. 8 wickets in hand. They've got a good game of cricket there on the Isle of Wight,
haven't they? Yeah, must be a belted pitch. You play 4-day cricket there, don't they? You played Notts in the 4 days.
Played Notts, yeah, in 2019. This one is striking Balderson, amidships. To be strictly correct, we played 3-day cricket there. Not so beaten in 3 days.
Oh dear, one to forget.
The trip certainly wasn't. It was wonderful. Never been before on the Isle of Wight.
You must have loved it going across on the ferry to go and watch cricket.
Yeah, very much so.
How many pictures did you take?
Thousands. 117 for 3. Jennings 66. Balderson 1. Dane Patterson bowls to George Balderson. Drives elegantly up to Liam Patterson-White. Mid-off, no run. Just quickly then, the other scores. Essex 259 for 9. Surrey a 155 for 4 in the 32nd. The other games in this group, Middlesex 201 for 3. Yorkshire made 253 all out, so seemingly Middlesex on course for victory there. We know about Hampshire, Kent and Nottinghamshire, Lancashire. Derbyshire have now lost that 7th wicket. They're 149 for 7. Somerset made 333 for 5 with Andy Umeed 170 odd. This one is, well, they're asking for both. Dane Patterson asking for an LBW. I think behind the wicket they're hoping that it wasn't off the pad, it was off the bat, but nothing doing. Glamorgan 178 for 1 at Cardiff. Northants made 340 for 5 with centuries for Vasconcelos and Keogh. Glamorgan's response being led by Sam Northeast, who's 82 not out. Sam Northeast, who had a brief spell with Notts a couple of years ago. Patterson starting to ask the questions. 5 dots here. In and bowls to Balderson, who hits it not slightly up his sleeve, hit it up his sleeve, but not enough on it to fly all the way to Patterson White. That's a maiden then for Dane Patterson, so 2 good overs in a row for Notts. A couple of wickets in Patterson White's previous over. A maiden from Patterson, 117 for 3 after 30. Lancashire still favourites, but they can't afford another over where they lose a couple of wickets, or they won't want to get bogged down here and just make this a lot closer than it should be. They've virtually got the game won, even though there's still the best part of 68-70 runs required.
Yeah, Notts doing all they can here, aren't they, with the ball? But obviously not a great deal to work with. I thought they started really well with the ball. They put pressure on Lancashire early on. There's barely any opportunities to get the ball away, and any kind of bad balls were completely taken out of the equation early on. A good start, wasn't it, by Patterson and by Hutton, and they've chipped away as best they can, I think, through the course of the day. But I mean, they should just be short with their batting, but we'll see. There's Patterson White balls to Jennings. That's nudged away towards the leg side. Hamid just catch up with it. Jennings gets a single, moves on to 67.
Blighter of Blight is trying to be helpful. I hope it helps you more than it helps me. It doesn't. I know all the rabbit runs where I'm going.
As long as you're all right, Dave.
I'll be all right, mate. I'll be all right. But the Blighter of Blight is regarding the M1 closure. Lots of angry looking red and purple on this map, going north, south, east, and west. Good luck, gentlemen. Get yourselves a pie and a pint.
Anywhere local to stay? Any little B&Bs in the area? We're going to see an extra man around the bat here by the looks of things. We've got Balderson on strike. We did have the slip in place. We're going to have a slip and a leg slip, I think.
Well, where would you go from here?
Oh, I've absolutely no idea.
All right. Would you be aiming for the M1 and go up to the M62 and across, or would you cut across?
I'd cut across that one through Sheffield. Snake's Pass, whatever it's called.
I would, if the roads are troublesome, I would from here head for Ollerton and then head north on the Doncaster Road to pick up the A1.
I shall come back to you at the end of the game and you can write down some very clear instructions for me, because these things are easily forgotten. There's a forward short leg in place, and there's a slip and forward short leg.
If you win, you might as well go straight to Bristol. And
As Patterson White's in to Balderson, who defends. He's dropped into the offside, picked up by Patterson White off his own bowling. No run. 118 for 3. In the 31st over. 2 for 18 for Patterson White. Driven nicely by Balderson. Through straight mid-off. Good looking shot for 4. Ball thumps over the rope and into the advertising board. Balderson moves on to 5. It's 122 for 3. And that just maybe just eases a little bit of pressure that Notts are trying to generate here. In decent form this summer, as Balderson. He's been in better form than decent, actually. Been excellent form across the 2 competitions for Lancs. This guy just went out through the leg side now for a single. Hamid there catching up with the ball.
Got runs at Trent Bridge, didn't he, in the county championship match?
He got a century there
back in April, yeah. Pretty sure he did.
Oh no, I think he was out for 90 odd, wasn't he?
We'll have a look.
I think that was one of the games where he fell just short of 3 figures.
I'll have a look. I think he got wickets as well.
I think he did, yeah. I seem to remember speaking to him twice in the same game, so he must have had a good game with the bat and with the ball. 123 for 3. Jennings is back on strike. We're just waiting for Notts to put the men in the right position. The forward short leg crouching down. Patterson White comes around the wicket to Jennings, who's off the front foot and dabs the ball back down the pitch. And there's no run. 123 for 3, Lancashire.
Yes, Notts were denied a famous victory late on there with Stuart Broad and Ollie Stone at the crease. 138 for 9.
No ball signalled here by the umpire, by the way.
That's not good, is it?
Is that for? Has he overstepped? Is there too many? There could be too many fielders there outside the circle, potentially. Yeah, I think they had too. Did they have too many out? I think. Yeah. No ball signalled with too many fielders outside the circle, and this has been signalled as a free hit as well by the umpire. He definitely signalled a free hit.
Yes, signalled a free hit. Yeah.
Jennings on 67. In comes Patterson wide to Keaton Jennings. Hammered down the ground, but straight to Patterson White off his own bowling, off the toe end of the bat.
Yes, at Trent Bridge in April, Balderson 3 wickets in each innings, 91 in the second innings he got.
In comes Patterson White to Jennings. It'll dance towards the bowler and then works the ball away to square leg for a single. Moves on to a very impressive 68 not out, the Lancashire captain. 126 for 3. And that is the end of the 31st over. A target of 186 to win. So leave 60 more runs.
Doing the maths for me. 60 off 19. So still round about 3 and over. 7 wickets in hand. Not going to be the most onerous of tasks, you would imagine, for Lancashire. Jennings on 68. Balderson got a bit of a start. He's on 6, faced 12 deliveries now. Here's Patterson. In and bowls, and again it's slightly uppishly to Liam Patterson White. At mid-off. Didn't carry to him. Starting to get a little chillier out there. Sun seems to have left us. See blue sky around. Not going to be any threat to this game being played out to the full, I'm sure. As Patterson comes in again to Keaton Jennings, who lofts this one straight back over the bowler's head for 4. Shot of some authority from Keaton Jennings. That's going to take him into the 70s. Very nicely struck. Straight drive. Dane Patterson pitching it up there. But Keaton Jennings equal to the task.
Yeah, already this season in this one-day cup, he's had a century, 127. His top score came in a game against Kent, I think it was. It was against Leicestershire, in the defeat against Leicestershire.
Patterson looking for a modicum of revenge, pulled away on the leg side behind square, and that's gone for 4 as well. Just like that, quick as a flash. 8 runs from 2 balls, 134 for 3. And when you need 3 and over, he's effectively done the damage of the best part of 3 overs there in 2 balls. Jennings on to 76.
Just dropped short again, didn't he? Pulled away. It's been a little bit short. Certainly to Jennings, he's pulled and got 4 pretty much every time.
Patterson in again to him and dances down the track and drives it out onto the offside. Slater's got a long way to go to cut this off, and they will come back for 2. Of course, still having that scorecard up from the game in April at Trent Bridge. Jennings didn't play, he had an injury, didn't he, right at the start of the season.
He had one at the start of the season, and then he had one after about a month of the season, and he was in terrific form. I think he got his horrible hamstring tear when he was 180 odd not out against Somerset, and didn't play for another probably month and a half, 2 months.
There's Patterson, bowls and again slammed away for 4 more. So that's 4-4-2-4. Last 4 deliveries. He's had enough of hanging around out there. Keaton Jennings going to get this done.
Quite got it right there, has he? Short again.
140 for 3. And Jennings on to 82. Started this over on 68. Yeah, didn't he tear his hamstring and then carry on batting?
He did. He tried to carry on batting. He faced one more ball and then limped off.
Patterson to bowl to Jennings. And, well, that was an over top and tailed by dot balls, but in between absolute mayhem from Keaton Jennings. 4-4-2-4. 140 for 3 after 32. And the run rate now down to 2.5 and over. That was a really destructive over.
He's such a good puller of the ball, isn't he? He stands so tall in the crease, Keaton Jennings, and he gets right on top of the bounce. And if it's just a little bit short to him on a pitch that's like this, I think it's not at that length. He's not going to trouble Keaton Jennings. He's able to pull it with a great deal of authority away to the leg side by 3 good pull shots there.
I've been told by a number of people in the know that when the decision came to leave Durham, it became in the end a choice between 2 counties, Nottinghamshire and Lancashire, and he chose Lancashire because he felt he'd get more opportunities to bowl. That's sort of what was peddled at the time, or has been sort of the word since then. Not done an awful lot of bowling for Lancashire, has he?
I think he'd be keen on it now. No, it's Patterson White to bowlers and who plays off the front foot and defends. Did it a little bit actually when he first came. He did bowl a little bit. Yeah, not so sure he'd be massively keen on the idea now. Bolson on 6 with Hutton in place at slip and a short leg, and he goes right back and across and defends. Ball trickles back down the pitch, gathered by Patterson White off his own bowling. No runs, a couple of dot balls to start the 33rd over. 140 for 3. A couple of quick wickets, just bringing knots back into it, but now Bolson looking to sweep away and try and chip away at the total. Just take a single, manage to sweep it out towards backward square leg. Dane Patterson stops the ball, but not cleanly to deny the single. They do get through for 1. Moves on to 7, 141 for 3. Brings Keaton Jennings back on strike. It's been a really powerful, masterful innings really by Jennings. He's looked every bit in control since he's gone out there into the middle. 82 not out from 101 deliveries. Patterson White in, because on the little paddle around the corner there, Keaton Jennings, and able to make a meaningful contact with the ball. Half an appeal by Patterson White, who's into his 6th over, 2 for 27. And slowly creeps in past the umpire. Down comes Jennings and nudges the ball away to mid-wicket underneath the fingertips of Hasib Hamid. And Jennings through for 1. So he moves on to 83. The score ticks along to 142 for 3. And Lancashire nudging themselves a little nearer with 7 wickets in hand. Bolson retaking his guard from the umpire, with Patterson changing his line. He's still got the slip and a short leg in place, but instead Patterson is going to come over the wicket to the left hand of Balderson, who's down the pitch and drives it firmly. Good stop by Patterson White off his own bowling. Takes a bit of pace off the ball. Sammy King is at mid-off to complete the fielding, and there's no run. That's the end of the over. 142 for 3, 44 more needed for Lancashire. 7 wickets in hand and 17 overs to get them.
14 from the previous over, just 2 singles from that one. That's not going to do now. Looks as if Matthew Montgomery is going to come back for a second spell from this end, with 44 more required. Bowling to the dangerous Jennings. Hampshire still going along very nicely. 238 for 2 now. Needing 88 to win from 14 overs, and Nye Donald is 82 not out as this one's cut into the offside. There's no run. 61 from Ben Brown, 238 for 2. Need 88 from 14 overs. Hampshire to defeat Kent. It's not going to alter anything too much at all, I don't think, as Montgomery bowls. Next one is cut into the offside. Cries of 2. They should get it comfortably. Jennings, I think, has decided he's going to get 100 here. He's been counting nicely. He's been more than happy to keep getting himself back on strike, pushing hard for the 2s when he hits them. Montgomery bowls, again hit away, fielded by Patterson White in the offside. No run. .144 for 3. Montgomery bowls. Get a single here. This cry of wait as Matthew Montgomery tried his level best to get across there and cut the ball out, but couldn't. Jennings 86, Balderson 7. 2 men out. Bell, beg your pardon, the 3 men out. Bell, Croft and Vilas. Brett Hutton with the first wicket, and then a couple consecutive deliveries to Liam Patterson White. Field tightens on George Balderson. Brett Hutton's gone in at slip for Montgomery to bowl to him. 2 balls left in this over. Balderson defends. Ball runs to backward point to Ben Martindale, and there's no run. Not seen anybody start to make a bolt for the car park yet. This one's cut into the offside. Should be just one out there. It's Fateh Singh doing the fielding in front of the pavilion as a sub. I presume Ben Slater's popped off. So end of the over, 146 for 3. 4 from that over. Slight hold upon play. Still going to be Liam Patterson White. We're bowling to George Balderson, who's got 8. Awful lot of chats out there. Real slow pace of play at the moment. There is Patterson White then to start this over. Balderson defends it. This is the 35th over. Just 40 needed to win. There are 94 balls left. Next ball sees Balderson take the aerial route. Balderson, I beg your pardon, and gets a boundary. Lovely shot straight down the ground for 4. 36 more required. Patterson White in to Balderson. Turns it onto the leg side. Brett Hutton close in. Does the fielding. .150 for 3. This one pops up in the air. Can Shardendoff get there? Not quite. It's a very good effort. Ball bobbed up off the glove onto the leg side.
Friday, Captain Keaton Jennings 86 not out. And Manchester George Bowles in 12 Lancashire.
Now Lancashire closing in on victory, as they have been, or seemingly have been, all day. 36 more will do it for the visitors. They've got 92 balls left. They're currently 150 for 3. The damage was done in the very first part of the session when Notts were 23 for 4, having won the toss, opted to bat. Nobody got 40. Notts bowled out for 185, and although Liam Patterson-White's got a couple of wickets, Brett Hutton with the other. Lancashire led by their skipper Keaton Jennings, who's 86 not out, need 36 more to win from 15 overs. Single taken, 151 for 3 from 35 overs as Scott comes back. It's not good news on the old motorway. It's a tanker fire, Scott. Everywhere is shut.
Goodness.
I've suggested a route to you, and I've been told that's a no-no as well, because that's blocked. So you're stuck, mate. You're stuck.
Some kind of helicopter, something like that. Can we put that on expenses? Can we put a helicopter on it? I think we probably could, couldn't we?
Of course. You probably could.
Probably get away with that, I would have thought. Right. Okay.
Say it's essential work for the 100.
Well, I'm on duty tomorrow at Old Trafford. There's Montgomery in and balls us off the back foot and cut away through the offside for a single by Balderson. And the score moves on to 152 for 3.
You'll have to find out where the team coach is going. If it's going down to Bristol, if that's to be your destination, or if they're going back.
Well, they might be going to Bristol if they know the motorway's bad.
Yeah.
Whipped off the back foot by Jennings out to mid wicket where Hamid fields, and there is no run. Montgomery from around the wicket balls again to Jennings, who just drops it into the offside, sends Balderson back. Up comes Ben Martindale from cover point to field, and there is a dot ball, 152 for 3.
Need your help, folks, at Brace Cricket. Suck home to Manchester. Which way should Scott go?
Forward goes Jennings. Drops the ball away into the offside, no run. Picked up an I'm going to have to sit and just be patient on it. Not much you can do. Montgomery into to Jennings, that's dragged away towards the leg side. Pulls it away for another single. Jennings moves on to 87. Really has been a top knock this by the Lancashire captain. He's been terrific. 87 from 111 balls faced, 153 for 3. Brings Balderson back on strike, 14 not out. Then he plays forward and dabs the ball calmly back down the pitch. And there is no run. That's the end of the 36th over. And Lancashire 153 for 3.
Yes, just 2 singles from that over. Matthew Montgomery's bowled very nicely today. I think 6 overs, none for 24. Patterson-White to continue. 37 required from 46. Somehow, even if it was the other way round. Oh, sorry, that was the partnership. I beg your pardon. That was the partnership. 37 from 46. 33 required to win. 14 overs at Lancashire's disposal. The captain and the bowler in earnest discussion about how they're just going to skittle out these 7 wickets now. At least that'll be the plan. Here is Liam Patterson-White off 3 paces, bowls, and Keaton Jennings skips down the track, gets his 88th run, just pushing it really to Lyndon James at long on. Lyndon James close enough to the hospitality marquee to pop in for a bit of tiffin.
There's some lovely cakes on show earlier on.
I bet there is. Yeah. I think there's 1 or 2 gone actually, isn't there?
Okay. Yeah.
No, do you think there seem to be rather more people over there?
Oh, from that particular tent, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
Next ball is hitting his direction, but I think it's going to go over Lyndon James, and it might well go into the hospitality marquee, but Lyndon makes a very good stop by the boundary rope at the far end of the ground, and 2 to Balderson. Good news for you. David Hurren, thank you sir, send Scott in the workshop direction, then he should be fine over the 57 to Sheffield Way and Manchester. Thank you, David. There you go. Have you got all that?
No.
Next ball driven into through the offside. Brett Hutton unable to stop it, and that'll go for 4 as well, and that's going to accentuate the time of Scott's departure. 4 more.
It's a workshop, right.
Send Scott in the workshop direction, and he should be fine over the 57, the A57 to Sheffield and Manchester. Next ball is dropped on the leg side. 160 for 3, 26 required from 80 balls. Of those 26, can Keaton Jennings get 12 of them to rack up another splendid century? Next ball is worked away on the leg side by Balderson. He'll get a single. 161 for 3.
Yeah, just that little period, wasn't it? Bell going early and then 2 in 2, you're never quite sure, but Jennings is, I think, the sense of authority and calm that Jennings has displayed here with the bat has been absolutely outstanding.
He's on strike now. Goes on the slog sweep, doesn't get a deal on it. That staggers me. I've just brought up his career stats. Only 6 one-day hundreds for Keaton Jennings. This day record against all opponents. 136 is his best against Nottinghamshire. So one of his 6 have come against the Outlaws. It might be 2 out of 7 if he gets a handful more runs here.
I'm not sure if he's ever got one for Lancashire, actually. I can't recall the last few years for whether he... You would just assume that one of those would have been at some point for Lancashire over the last 5 or 6 years he's been with the club, but can't bring it to mind if he has.
Well, his best for Lancashire is 136, so you'd assume that was against Notts. In fact, he's had 3 for Lancashire.
Oh, there we go. That's down the leg side by Montgomery, signalled as a wide by the umpire. He's been with Lancs for some time now. You forget how long he's been a Lancashire player. It must be probably 6 years.
2 for Durham and 1 for England Lions, his centuries.
Montgomery to Balderson. It's a nice shot, punched away off the back foot. And Balderson gets through for a single. He moves on to 22. Balderson's, remember last year, his first List A century for Lancashire, came in a game at Kent. The young man opposite his captain at the minute out there. Jennings is 12 away from a List A ton here. 23 required to win. Jennings 88 not out. Swept by Keaton Jennings away to deep backward square leg. And swept nicely for 4 to take him into the 90s. Well, Keaton Jennings is very much a definition of a team man, and I think he'd be happy to sacrifice a century if he was certain that the team was to go on and win. Well, he has a chance of doing both here. He has a chance of reaching 3 figures and being there at the end to put Lancashire into a knockout in the One Day Cup. Keaton Jennings skippered the One Day side last year, got all the way to the final, lost to Kent at Trent Bridge. He's the club captain this year. He's 92 not out. Lancashire 19 runs away from victory as Montgomery is in and bowls to Jennings, and that's off the front foot and pushed away to mid-on. No run. 50 partnership as well between Jennings and Balderson.
17th of May 2018 at Old Trafford.
And Montgomery's in and punched away towards mid-on for no run. Good stop.
Notts 318 all out. Lancashire 309 for 9. Keaton Jennings out for 136. Notts won by 9.
Wants a couple here, Jennings. He's worked it out towards the leg side. Can't come back for 2. Moves on to 93. Lancashire now 168 for 3. 18 runs away.
Funny feeling Lancashire was strolling it. They were 288 for 5. Finished 309 for 9.
Montgomery to Balderson. Plays forward and defends, and there's no run. Through he goes for a quick single, moves on to 23. I'll have commentated on every single one of those Jennings centuries in List A cricket for Lancashire. And, I can't recall a single one of them. The outcome of every match seems to blur into another one, doesn't it?
The blighter of blight is come back with some other alternatives as to where you can get. So we'll thank you very much. Thank you. We'll pass those on to Scott. So we're nearly there. 169 for 3, or I guess we can perhaps say we could be entering the final prolonged passage here, where Lancashire try and grind out 17 more for victory. Who knows? It might be 3 balls, 3 sixes, and it might be like pulling teeth as Balderson drives this into the offside. Jennings is on 93. Is at the non-striker's end. Balderson has played very nicely for his 23. We've added 53 for this 4th wicket after Dane Vilas didn't get too many opportunities to field. In fact, there was a wretched misfield from Dane Vilas at one stage as this goes through to Schardendorf, whips off a bail. Remember that one where Dane Vilas misfielded it, went straight through him for 4, and then got a first ball to the old boy. Maybe the last time we'll see him in white ball format against Notts. Another one goes through to the keeper, but the two sides do meet again this season in the County Championship, the penultimate round of County Championship matches. Nottinghamshire go to Old Trafford. Balderson will get runs here as Balderson drives it down to the far end, and they're going to get 3.
It's good fielding. Is that Lyndon James?
Yeah.
Super effort. Hutton couldn't quite get across to cut it off, and that's brilliant by Lyndon James. I mean, it's going to be in a losing cause, but still, it's a wonderful commitment by James.
So Balderson on to 26. Lyndon James back on strike. 172 for 3. 14 more required. Got pretty much as long as they need here, Lancashire, to get over the line. Patterson White with 2 wickets to fall. Jennings on the reverse, and he's made a good contact. Gets a boundary away. Takes him to 97. Big moment. Well, you can't remember his other centuries, Scott. Just try and...
it doesn't matter if I can, I bet he can.
Just try and make a show of this one as you guide him through to his 7th career list 800.
It's been outstanding, hasn't it, by Jennings? He's been brilliant for Lancashire today. Proper captain's not, but just so much authority, sense of calm. He's just looked utterly in control since he came out and opened the batting with George Bell. 10 away from victory. That'll be his only thoughts, I'm sure. As he might want to try and come back for a second, but no, just takes a single. Keeps the strike though. Moves on to 98. And the score moves on to 177 for 3. So Lancashire are 9 runs away from confirming their place in the knockout stages of the Metrobank One Day Cup. It looks like it will be Gloucestershire on Friday for Lancs. A trip to Bristol this Friday, because they need 70 to win, 20 overs left, and 7 wickets in hand for Gloucestershire to beat Durham.
Yeah, they've been under the radar a little bit, Gloucestershire, haven't they? They've pulled off some fine results, particularly at home.
There's Montgomery to Keaton Jennings. Sends Balderson back as he guides the ball away into the onside. Hamid's at mid-wicket to field. No run. Clear call of no there, wasn't it, by Jennings. Getting driven up towards mid-off, and they do jog through for a single. So he'll push his total up to 99. And the score to 178 for 3.
Yeah, 8 to win then. Can George Balderson whack a couple of boundaries and deny Keaton Jennings? He wouldn't, would he? Montgomery into Balderson. He's not even looking for 4s, I'm sure. He's just content to keep out the good balls and just work the ones that he can manipulate into the gaps. Get his skipper back on strike. 178 for 3. Matthew Montgomery bowls. Balderson will do that now by getting a single out to Slater. 179 for 3. 7 to win.
Not to be ruined the start of the match, really. That first power play. The first 12 overs, really, the damage was done, even with some recovery late on, but not enough runs on the board. And here's Montgomery to Jennings off the back foot, just dabs the ball away into the offside. And Patterson Whitefields, a ring of fielders inside the circle on the offside, mid-off, cover, extra cover, point, short, fine. Into Jennings, chops the ball away, beats the infield this time. That's going to bring up the century for Keaton Jennings, who'll run back for 2, it might go for 4. In the end, they'll settle for 3, edging nearer to the knockout stages. And the Lancashire captain, Keaton Jennings, with a magnificent century. A real masterful innings by Jennings, in utter control from the moment he went out to bat with George Bell. That's a fabulous knock by the Lancashire skipper. 102 not out, Keaton Jennings, and Lancashire on the cusp of reaching the knockout stages.
Great stuff to see all the Lancashire players and coaching staff, support staff up there as one, all applauding him. It's one of the great things of cricket. It doesn't matter if you're playing at this level, a higher level, or down in Division KLMN and P or whatever of the various leagues up and down the country. It's nice to see the players getting behind their teammate and celebrating big moments as Patterson White bowls. He's gone on the sweep here. Martindale fizzes a ball in that is nowhere near Schardendorf. We're potentially just 1 hit away, aren't we?
Yep,
4 required. Doesn't do it in 1 hit, just drops it on the leg side, fielded by Asiba Mead. So 3 required now for Lancashire.
123 balls his century, with 13 fours and a 6.
So Notts 3 wins, 3 losses, a rained off match. Patterson White to Balderson, pushes it out to former Lancashire opener Asiba Mead. 3 required. Halfway through the 41st over, Balderson will thrust bat and pad together. The ball balloons up onto the leg side, nobody there. 183 for 3. Lancashire need 3. And Patterson White bowls. Balderson drives into the offside and through the offside, and there's nobody out there, and that will be the victory. And Lancashire win this by 7 wickets with more than 9 overs to spare, 9 overs and 1 ball, and Keaton Jennings 103 not out, Balderson 31 not out, and that's been as convincing as you like. A nice warm-up before going into the knockout stages, and everybody else that's left in the last 6 had better beware, because this Lancashire side, led magnificently by Keaton Jennings, and with some very, very capable new ball bowling, going to be one of the sides to beat. Not enough, we've said it all day long. It was way under par, seemingly so, 185. Didn't recover from 23 for 4, did well to get where they eventually did get, and despite that early dismissal, just didn't think that Notts, unless they could continually get a clatter of wickets, would have any chance, and that's how it turned out. Many congratulations to Lancashire and to Scott Reed.
3, they're on a bit of a roll at the minute, Lancs. Yeah, 3 successive wins that now. They've effectively been playing kind of knockout cricket since they lost to Hampshire, and they had 3 away games to complete their group stage. They had to win all 3, and they have won all 3. So it's a fabulous effort to have done that. 3 on the bounce to get into the knockout stages. It's an outstanding knock by Keaton Jennings, the captain, to get his team over the line. And Lancashire's hopes of some silverware this year goes on, because they're going to be in a playoff game on Friday night. It looks set to be a trip to Bristol to take on Gloucestershire.
Big thanks to Jody and Jono, who've been out there with the cameras, bringing you all the side views and what have you, to Kirsty and to Aaron for looking after us. Those of you that have been watching the live stream, if you want some reaction, the first hand reaction, Aaron will be on the outfield with his microphone, and we'll get some reaction for you there on the live stream at Trent Bridge Live. And many thanks to everyone that's taken the trouble to be with us today. I know there were one or two issues this morning beyond our control, certainly nothing to do with anybody here at Welbeck. Just one of those things with the technical gremlins. Hope it didn't spoil your coverage too much. Notts don't play now until Monday the 10th of September, when hopefully, God willing, I'll be at Canterbury to face Kent in the county championship. Scott will be just keeping an eye on the other scores. He might be stuck here at Welbeck for the next 2 or 3 days, but if he can get to the next match, presuming at the moment, unless anything dramatic alters things, it'll be Gloucestershire at Bristol on Friday. You'll be able to hear the great man bring you commentary and coverage of that one. But from Scott Reed, myself, Dave Bracegirdle, the entire team here, many thanks for your coverage during the Metro Bank One Day Cup competition. We've been here, there and everywhere, mainly here. 3 of the 8 matches have been here, and Welbeck, as ever, magnificent hosts, and the weather's played ball as well by and large. So that's it, we've done. Lancashire have won by 7 wickets. Nottinghamshire's participation in the competition is over. Lancashire's goes on, and they'll be one of the red hot favourites to make it through to that Trent Bridge final on the 16th of September. From Scott, from myself, Dave, very good night from Welbeck.
I'm going to go and see if I can grab Pete. Hey? I'm going to go and see if I can grab Pete. Okay, mate. Tom were on 10 beforehand, so I'm guessing Dane took a couple today, didn't he?
Yeah, they'd all end up at a similar time, the
Yeah,
three
similar.
seamers, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Where am I going?
Where do you want this, Jono?
Yeah, just Pete, if you just want to step back a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, there's fine, absolutely fine.
Okay, so it's the Lancashire Lightning that take the victory by 7 wickets. I'm now joined by head coach Peter Moores. Pete, as I just said there, obviously it's not been the day that we all wanted as we woke up and got here this morning. Where do you think we fell short in that kind of game there?
I think the first 20 overs was really tough actually. The pitch was hard work. We'd won the toss and decided to bat, which we knew was going to be challenging to try and get through. I thought Tom Bailey bowled really well, as did Williams, and they picked up wickets. So we got ourselves back in. Credit to that middle order, they showed a lot of resilience to get us through it. I think we probably had a chance to get a few more. We got 2 or 3 partnerships later on and didn't cash in. So I think we felt like 220, 230 would have been a really competitive score. And it wasn't enough, and the standout innings of the game was by Keaton Jennings, who got in 100, which made a big difference.
Just for some people that might not, have watched it and said, right, we won the toss, we chose to bat, and then we see ourselves 50 for 5. Just can you explain potentially the reasoning behind having that bat? Because to some people they'd go, well, it was a bowler's pitch, but obviously it's not always as simple as that, is it?
Well, it was a bowler's pitch, and it was still a bowler's pitch when we started bowling at them as well. And it's a fine balance. The captain's got to make what he thinks is the right call, and we talk about it before. And we've batted first, and we've bowled first on here. And chasing isn't easy on it either, because we played Hampshire here earlier on, and that wicket's really started to grip for the spinners later on. So I think that was a fine margin. I think that we minded what we did first. We'd have to play better than the opposition. I think credit to Lancashire, they played really well. I thought I'd say Tom Bailey was the pick of the bowlers, tall man who got a decent bounce out of it, and it was really tough. For the first 10 overs, it was really hard work for the batters. And we lost a couple of wickets towards the end of when it just started to settle down. Haas, the captain, got out to Balderson just before I think it was really, he was getting in. And there were some good balls flying around. You got to take it. So we scrapped our way to 185 or whatever. And at one point in the game, we got them under quite a bit of pressure, and then Keaton was the main difference, steadied the ship and got them through.
Always talk about partnerships, don't we? And that sort of partnership between Jennings and Croft, obviously, meant that Lancashire got that victory. But it's easy to look at the negatives in these situations, and want to talk about some positives. Just first of all, a reflection on the campaign as a whole. Obviously, we've performed quite well away from home, struggled a little bit at home as well. So just your overall sort of look back on the campaign. I know it's early doors.
Yeah, I think we go into that campaign always with the same two things. We want to win it, but we also want to develop players. And we've seen players develop. We've seen Matthew Montgomery show his talent at different times all the way through the tournament. I think Lyndon James is another one, batting at 3, who's shown that he's got a real future in white ball cricket. Tommy Loughton's another. So there's lots of people who've had different opportunities. We'll look back on the whole tournament, and there'll be great information for those lads to areas they can get better. We've missed some opportunities. We'll look back at the Surrey game here, great chance to win a game, and we didn't take it. So we have to take those on the chin as well. But I think the development in white ball cricket in this tournament, it's not just for the young players. Sometimes someone like Brett Hutton doesn't get many chances in white ball cricket. And again, he's shown he's a really effective white ball, new ball bowler. So that's the opportunity in there. The lads have, like always, they commit their heart and soul to it. They'll be gutted, like we all are, that we didn't win today, because if we had a chance of getting through. And it's a very similar position, I think, to last year when we did. And it's exposed a lot of players. I feel for those players that missed out. We had a couple of youngsters who didn't get a go this year. So that was, they've got some work to do to get into this teams, because there's still a lot of competitive players trying to play at 50 over level, even if they haven't got into the 100 competition.
Just how much do you learn from players in this sort of competition, as you say, because like you mentioned, we obviously want to win it, but there's a lot of youngsters, obviously, you know, not just this team, but other teams lose a lot of players to the 100. But there's a lot of lads that haven't maybe experienced like this sort of competition, not pressure, but the wanting to win and wanting to progress. How much will you learn as head coach and your coaching team about the players that have performed in this competition?
Well, you learn a lot, because I think probably all top flight sport, you know, people say it's played with the top 10 inches of your head. You know, it's played in your head, really. And I think what you see is how well people make decisions under pressure. And I think that's often the case. You know, on a pitch like this, I think a couple of our younger batters got in, would be disappointed when maybe the shots they played, because they had a chance to go on. And that's part of the learning. Keaton Jennings kept his head cool, played really well, international opening batsman, you know, so he's a very good player. But I think that's part of what you learn. You expect people to make mistakes. We don't like it, they don't like it, but we learn from it and move on. And we've seen that develop in our own players. As I said, Matthew Montgomery's had a good tournament, but he had exposure last year, then he had exposure this year in the T20, and he's coming back, he looks a more mature player. I think, as I say, Lyndon James batting at 3 for the whole tournament has shown that he's moving his game on. Ben Martindale opening the batting will be disappointed in some ways. He didn't build on an early score he got against Essex, but will also have learnt a lot. He's a really talented player. So all those lads, you know, they'll give them something to work on. They desperately want to do well. We've been lucky in that we've had decent crowds. People come to watch, and it's felt like first team cricket, and I think that's the important thing. It feels like the pressure's on. They're doing it to represent the club that they want to play for, and it's just a different experience for someone.
Can't replicate it in the nets, can you, really, to be honest?
Well, you can't, and you know, a lot of times the way we develop players now, they go through academy systems, and I think we hear it a lot. You know, you don't want what I would say just good technical players. You want games players, people who can play the game, people who can sense the situation. You know, we saw someone like Sammy King play today, and Sammy's a really good, what I would say, games player. Senses the situation, got in, played really well today. He'd be disappointed he got a chance to go on a little bit and missed out. But he's an aggressive player as well, so we don't want to stop that. They have to learn through their own experience, and this sort of cricket gives them that chance.
It certainly does. If we look towards sort of the end of the season that's coming up, obviously the white ball is now put into the cupboard. The red ball will be there in a few weeks' time. There's still a lot of cricket to be played. Just how will you prepare some of the lads that have played in this? Players coming back from the 100, it's time to regroup and really finish the season strong with the red ball.
It's a huge 3 games in red ball cricket, and it's a bit different. I think last year we came out of the 100 last year, and quite a lot of our players played for the Trent Rockets. They won it, and they played on the Sunday, and we started on the Tuesday. So they obviously went out and had a good night on the Sunday night, and then they came back on the Monday morning. We trained on the Monday afternoon, so some of them were in an interesting state on the Monday, but it was such a quick turnaround, and then went straight into a Champo game. This year we missed that round. So we get a bit of a privilege in some ways. We get a chance to sort of recharge, and everybody gets a chance to sort of basically have a few days off and then start to build up to red ball. And we play 2 games away from home and only 1 game at home. So it's I think by the end of the season it'll feel quite strange, the sort of minimum amount of Notts cricket there's been at the ground over through August and into September. So, you know, we'll take it exactly what it is. We've got 3 really big games. It starts with Kent away. We've got some second team cricket before them, which will be an opportunity, I think, to play some lads in to make sure that we're up to match speed. And, you know, our lads know they'll have a key role to play in that. You know, we're going to have to bat well, bowl well against 3 competitive teams. 2 of those sides are in the lower end of the table as well, which we're in that position. So we're really aware of where we're at. And as I say, we're looking forward to that challenge, I think.
Best way to be, best way to be. Appreciate your time, as always. Thank you very much, Mr. Morse.
Thanks, Aaron.
All right, OK. And thank you for being with us over these games here at Welbeck. Didn't finish how we wanted to, but from everybody at Trent Bridge Live, thank you for your company. And we'll see you at the end of September for that game against Middlesex, the 26th of September. But until then, thank you very much. Goodbye.